Chapter 13:16. Spar. The words sounded grand, but it was just a small disagreement and they would fight. But this fight was different from demonic path battles. Demonic path battles were life and death battles. Righteous path GU immortals often had huge businesses and clans. Why would they fight to the death for no reason? It was enough to decide who was superior. This was also because Fang Yuan was purposely stalling. He did not want the matter of Frosty Peak to be decided. Thus, Xia Clan's 2 GU immortals decided to use their fists to resolve the situation. Actually, even on Earth, if negotiations failed, powerful countries would send their armies over. The essence was the same. Xia Fei Kuai's words were quite interesting. He represented Xia Clan and made Wu Yihai the glory of Wu Clan. He was saying that this spar was not just a fight between the two of them, it was also a fight between Xia Clan and Wu Clan. One sentence forced Fang Yuan into a dead end. If Fang Yuan avoided the battle, it would damage Wu Clan's reputation. In the righteous path, he would be looked down upon. What Xia Clan's 2 GU immortals did not know was that Fang Yuan was not Wu Yihai. He did not care about Wu Clan's reputation. But then again, he was currently acting as Wu Yihai. He wanted to sneak into the Super GU formation. Fang Yuan could not reject this challenge. He was silent for a while before saying, "If it is a spar, with both of you working together against me, I will definitely lose in numbers." Xia Fei Kuai's expression changed. He could not say that. Actually, he was the one who suggested the spar. He was already in a passive position. If he lost this spar, he would be asking to be humiliated. If both Xia Clan GU immortals fought and won, they would be bullying him with numbers. They would lose face and it would not be good to spread the news. Actually, Xia Fei Kuai had never thought of working together with Xia Zhuamo. He said, "I will fight alone, Wu Yihai, you don't have to worry." Fang Yuan's expression was very forced as he said, "Since your side wants to spar so urgently, it would not be good if I don't agree. But since it is a spar, there has to be a time limit. We can't fight until the end of the day, right? What rules do you have?" Xia Fei Kuai asked. Sparring naturally had rules. It was different from a life and death battle. Fang Yuan said, "You attack and I defend. As long as you can break my defense within 10 moves, I lose." Xia Fei Kuai's eyelids twitched. He said solemnly, "Okay." Xia Zhuamo frowned. He felt something was amiss. But since Xia Fei Kuai agreed, there was no harm. He had confidence in Xia Zhuo and GU. Naturally, the Frosty Peak was not a place for the two sides to fight. It would not be good if it was damaged. Both parties flew out and chose a desolate valley. Fang Yuan and Xia Fei Kuai stood facing each other. "Let's begin." Xia Fei Kuai could not wait. He wanted to teach Fang Yuan a lesson. Among the rank 7 GU immortals of southern border, he was a famous expert. In Wu Clan, Wu Yong was a rank 8 GU immortal. Wu Clan's strongest rank 7 GU immortal, Wu Yubo, was only slightly stronger than him. Immortal Yang Huang defeated Wu Yubo. Xia played it beautifully. In a real fight, Immortal Yang Huang was not Wu Yubo's match, but Xia Clan broke Wu Yubo's signature killer move. Wu Yubo was targeted, his immortal killer move was forced back, he suffered a huge backlash. Immortal Yang Huang won. "Wait." Fang Yuan waved his hand. Xia Fei Kuai was about to attack, but Fang Yuan stopped him. He felt uncomfortable. He shouted, "Wu Yihai, what do you want?" "I almost forgot, since it is a spar, we can't just spar like this, right?" Fang Yuan smiled. Xia Fei Kuai thought, "How can it be so casual? Teaching you a lesson is the most important part of this battle." He thought, but he could not say it out loud. GU immortals had all sorts of methods to record the current situation. Like earlier, when Immortal Yang Huang challenged Wu Yubo, it was recorded by Xia Clan's Xia Qingkang. It was widely spread in southern borders GU immortal world. Xia Fei Kuai controlled his anger. "What do you want?" "It's very simple. If fellow immortal loses, this Frosty Peak will belong to us. If I win by luck, then the matter of Frosty Peak will remain the same." Fang Yuan said. "How can that be?" Xia Zhuamo, who was watching from afar, was anxious. He finally shouted before Xia Fei Kuai could. This time, Xia Clan was in control of Zhong Sanfeng's bloodline descendants. They had a huge advantage. Wu Clan was in a passive position. If they agreed to this, they would lose their advantage. It was not a wise move. Xia Fei Kuai pouted, thinking, I am not an idiot. At the same time, he rejected, this cannot be done. In that case, forgive me for not fighting. Let's forget about this spar. Fang Yuan waved his hand, turning around to leave. Xia Fei Kuai saw this and almost cursed out loud. We left the moon peak and came here. After a lot of hard work, we carefully selected a valley where we could spar with each other. But with just one sentence from you, we stopped fighting. Are you playing with us? His expression turned dark. Wu Yihai retreated without a fight. Is this the glory and bravery of Wu Clan? Fang Yuan's footsteps stopped. Xia Fei Kuai smiled coldly. Fang Yuan turned around and faced Xia Fei Kuai, but his expression was solemn and serious without any shame. You are wrong. I have never avoided sparring, it is just that you did not agree to my small request. We cannot come to an agreement, but that does not mean I want to avoid sparring. Look, I have already chosen the location for the spar. Oh my, damn it. These words made Xia Zhuemo, who was watching, furious. Xia Fei Kuai stared with furious eyes, his hair was about to stand on end. He stared fixedly at Fang Yuan. How did Wu Clan produce such a shameless person? Didn't Wu Clan's GU immortals fight each other whenever they had a disagreement? Where is your Wu Clan's bravery? Where is your Wu Clan's spirit? Where did it go? But soon, Xia Fei Kuai thought of Fang Yuan's birth. That's right, Wu Yihai was not a true Wu Clan GU immortal, he was a secluded cultivator from Eastern Sea. This damned secluded cultivator. Fang Yuan smiled even more brightly. Since we cannot spar, we can chat and drink some tea. I have to say, your Four Seasons tea is really good, it leaves me with endless aftertastes. What tea? What chat? Xia Fei Kuai suddenly had an intense urge to strangle Fang Yuan to death. The anger in his chest was burning fiercely. Xia Zhuemo looked at Xia Fei Kuai with some resentment, thinking, it is all because Lord gave them a lot of tea when we met. Fang Yuan pondered, how about this, if I win, we will maintain the status quo for 5 years, and you will not harass Frosty Peak anymore, how about that? This. Xia Zhuemo started to ponder. Fang Yuan suddenly raised this condition. Compared to before, it was many times more relaxed, it did not seem so hard to accept. But Wu Yihai suddenly threw out this condition, he might have planned it. Xia Zhuemo was still thinking. Xia Fei Kuai spoke, all right, I agree. Xia Zhuemo was stunned, transmitting, Lord Xia Fei Kuai, are you going to let this son of a bitch stall for time again? I will bear the consequences of this, it has nothing to do with you. I cannot afford to waste my time, for this stupid matter, the less time I have to spend with this guy, the better. Xia Fei Kuai immediately rejected with a firm attitude. Xia Zhuemo smiled bitterly. If this spar fails, even if you, Xia Fei Kuai, bear the consequences, will I be able to escape responsibility? The clan sent me to assist you, wasn't it to persuade you? Sigh. He heaved a deep sigh in his heart and helplessly transmitted his voiceover. Then I wish you victory in this battle, sir. Are you sure? Fang Yuan asked again. His condition, to Wu Clan, was only delaying the problem, it did not solve it. But once 5 years passed, Fang Yuan should have finished what he needed to do. At that time, who would serve Wu Clan? I am sure. This time, Xia Fei Kuai did not speak, Xia Zhuemo spoke. Good. Fang Yuan slowly flew back, his tone was very annoying. Actually, I do not want to spar, no matter what, it will hurt our relationship. But since Lord Xia Fei Kuai insists, then on account of the 4 Seasons tea that you gave me, I will agree to this spar. Don't mention the tea, let's fight. Xia Fei Kuai shouted, his eyes were bloodshot. Before he finished, Fang Yuan's body glowed, he turned into a divination tortoise. Xia Fei Kuai was stunned, Fang Yuan was hesitant before, but now he was very straightforward. This surprised him for a moment. It's the divination tortoise again. Xia Zhuemo frowned. The divination tortoise was huge, its 4 legs were like pillars, it stood firmly in the valley, filling up the entire valley. The whole divination tortoise was dark and eerie, there were countless markings on its shell, it was very eye-catching. Xia Zhuemo stared at it for a while before feeling dazzled, he quickly retracted his gaze. Xia Fei Kuai did not expect Fang Yuan to use an immortal killer move at once. Normally speaking, when GU immortals spar, there was a process of probing. Fang Yuan skipped that and used his trump card. Looking at the sturdy tortoise's shell, one can imagine the divination tortoise's defensive strength. No wonder he suggested this spar. Thinking of this, Xia Zhuomo's frown deepened. What should I do? Xia Fei Kuai hesitated. He did not know what Wu Yihai was good at, but Fang Yuan knew. Xia Fei Kuai's hesitation was short, he attacked almost immediately. First move. He raised his hand and clenched his fist, he punched towards the divination tortoise in the valley. His fist shined with dazzling light. The pure white light left Xia Fei Kuai's fist in an instant, turning into a ball of light that was the size of steel wine, and smashed downwards. Immortal GU auras and mortal GU auras intertwined. Chapter 13:17. Xia Fei Kuai saw that Fang Yuan had used an immortal killer move, he could only use an immortal killer move to deal with it. The pure white ball of light was not fast, it did not have the advantage of agility of light path. But when it flew in the air, it pushed against the air, emitting a buzzing sound. Bam! The wine steel-sized ball of light smashed on the divination tortoise's back, it had the weight of a mountain. Fang Yuan's divination tortoise form was smashed into the ground. The huge divination tortoise's body sunk a foot into the ground. Xia Fei Kuai's move was indeed powerful. Light path was known for its speed, but Xia Fei Kuai's sky essence attack was the complete opposite. It was like a heavy punch, as long as it hit, the huge force would catch the enemy off guard. However, Fang Yuan's divination tortoise shell was completely undamaged. After the attack, Xia Fei Kuai inspected the result, his eyes widened. Not to mention a deep hole, the divination tortoise shell was completely undamaged, there was not even a dent. Of course it was like that. Xia Fei Kuai's move used light path to imitate strength path, it was a unique move. And Fang Yuan's divination tortoise transformation was a rank 7 immortal killer move, it used change form immortal GU and divination tortoise shell immortal GU as the cause. Especially the latter, Fang Yuan could activate it to create a shell that was not weaker than the ancient desolate beast divination tortoise shell. Now that it was an immortal killer move, with so many supplementary GU worms, the defense of the tortoise shell was not weaker than a true ancient desolate beast divination tortoise. Ancient desolate beasts had thick skin and strong vitality, and among all species, tortoises were one of the toughest life forms. It was not strange that Xia Fei Kuai's sky essence attack had no effect. But to the person involved, it was a bit exaggerated. Sky essence attack has no effect, such a tough shell. Xia Zhuomo was shocked. Xia Fei Kuai immediately stopped. He felt an emotion that he had not felt for a long time, and that was a headache. Looking at such a thick shell, he felt a headache, he could not attack. Actually, he could have attacked other parts of Fang Yuan's body, but he chose the toughest tortoise shell. Of course, this was also because he wanted to test the depth of Fang Yuan's strength. What should I do? Xia Fei quickly thought. Although he was impatient, he was able to calm down during the sparring. But at this time, Fang Yuan used a second immortal killer move. The aura of all sorts of GU worms spread out, there were immortal GU and mortal GU. Fang Yuan opened his mouth and spat out countless small turtle shells. The small turtle shell was very similar to the back of the divination turtle. If the divination tortoise's head, tail, and limbs were removed, and the tortoise was shrunk countless times, it would look like a small tortoise shell. A large number of small turtle shells floated in the air, spinning at high speed. What is this thing? Xia Fei quickly stopped thinking. Just to be cautious, he flew backward, putting some distance between him and Fang Yuan. Boom! He brandished his fist and punched out. It was still the first strike of the sky element. But this time, the heavy light ball the size of a wine jar didn't touch the divination tortoise. Those fist-sized turtle shells were like flies that had smelled blood, or like a swarm of bees. With a flurry of buzzing sounds, they aimed at Fang Yuan and directly surrounded him. Bam bam bam! The small turtle shells seemed to be very hard, in the collision, hundreds of them were destroyed. But Fang Yuan's attack was also expended, It turned into fragments of light and dissipated in the air. Immortal Killer Move Vajra Shell. This was an immortal killer move that Fang Yuan modified from his previous one. He combined it with his own divination tortoise transformation, making its first appearance in southern border, or even in the 5 regions. The core of this immortal killer move was rank 6 immortal Gu Vajra Thought. However, rank 7 perseverance immortal Gu and a large number of supplementary mortal Gu were added. Its power naturally rose by a lot. Fang Yuan's effort were not wasted. Ah, this looks like a turtle shell, but it is actually a thought. Xie Zhuomo's eyes shined with a strange light as he exposed the secret. He was a wisdom path Gu immortal. He was very sensitive to all kinds of thoughts. This was what he excelled in. As for Xie Fei Kuai, he cultivated light path and not wisdom path. Even though he had rank 7 cultivation level, he only realized it after Xie Zhuomo's reminder. Immortal Xie Zhuomo is very knowledgeable. You are very cooperative. The divination tortoise spoke in human language. Its tone was filled with sarcasm. Actually, Fang Yuan did not want to hide it. It was just that after combining with the divination tortoise transformation, those golden thoughts turned into small black turtle shells. Little Mo, keep quiet. I will definitely break his turtle shell in this battle. Xie Fei Kuai spoke. Xie Zhuomo grunted, not saying anything else. Being mocked by Fang Yuan, his expression turned ugly. Xie Fei Kuai closed his eyes. He started to gather. The aura of all kinds of Gu worms continued to rise, rising one after another and quickly spreading out. Red Date Immortal Essence was expended rapidly. At the same time, he stretched out his arms, slowly raising them before putting his palms together above his head. The light on his body flowed like flowing water, converging into the center of his palms. It was still gathering. The light was restrained, but the intense aura continued to expand, becoming more and more dangerous. Fang Yuan lowered his tortoise head, his limbs were firmly planted on the ground. He was like a silent black mountain. But at the same time, all kinds of small turtle shells flew out from his body, increasing rapidly in number. There were close to 10,000 at first, but soon, it broke through 20,000, 30,000, 40,000. The growth was extremely rapid. Rank 6 Vajra Thought Immortal Gu could produce tens of thousands of Vajra thoughts when activated alone. Now that it was an immortal killer move, the effect was even greater. And most importantly, the wisdom path Dao marks on Fang Yuan's body. Actually, Fang Yuan did not have many wisdom path Dao marks, but he had transformation path Dao marks. He had a lot of transformation path Dao marks. Because he had killed many transformation path Gu immortals, he had accumulated all of their Dao marks. The most important gain was killing 3 Gu immortals in the regional wall, including Wu Yihai. Just from the battle alone, Fang Yuan obtained close to 50,000 transformation path Dao marks. 1,000 Dao marks was twice the amplification. 10,000 Dao marks was 10 times the amplification. 50,000 Dao marks was 50 times the amplification. What did that mean? Ordinary rank 7 Gu immortals only had 10 to 30,000 main path Dao marks. Xie Fei Kuai was a rank 7 expert. He had more than 30,000 light path Dao marks. But how could he compare to Fang Yuan? Thereupon, Xie Fei Kuai and Xie Zhuomo, these 2 Gu immortals, stared dumbfoundedly as a large number of small tortoise shells spread rapidly, soon filling the whole valley and spreading out. The dense black mass resembled a swarm of locusts or ants. Xie Fei Kuai had a grim expression. There were so many of these small turtle shells at once, it was a huge psychological pressure on the bystanders. But Xie Fei Kuai used the environment of the spa ingeniously. According to the rules of the spa, Fang Yuan could only defend, he could not attack. Thus, Fang Yuan could not control the small turtle shells to attack Xie Fei Kuai. Xie Fei Kuai calmed his emotions and activated this immortal killer move. Light Path Immortal Killer Move Saw Wheel Light. His palms that were raised above his head slashed down. A dazzling wheel of light flew out of Xie Fei Kuai's palms. The wheel of light expanded with the wind, rapidly expanding to the size of a boat. The wheel of light continued to rotate, its edges were covered in saw teeth. Good. Xie Zhuomo saw this and cheered inwardly. Even though the turtle shell is thick, This move can cut through even the thickest turtle shell. However, at the next moment, swoosh swoosh swoosh, countless small turtle shells flew up. Crack 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 crack, under the suicidal encirclement of countless small turtle shells, the wheel of light only managed to fly for a short distance before it completely shattered. Xia Zhuo Xia Fei Kuai, Fang Yuan praised, such a powerful killer move. This move is no small matter, it actually destroyed over 6,000 of my thoughts. These words were like a slap to Xia Zhuo and Xia Fei Kuai's faces. Xia Fei Kuai needed a lot of time to activate this immortal killer move. Normally speaking, the shorter the activation time, the better, because it was very dangerous and could be easily interrupted. Once interrupted, the activation of the killer move would fail and the GU Immortal would suffer heavy injuries from the backlash. Xia Fei Kuai used the rules of the spa to safely activate this immortal killer move. But, while he was activating it, Fang Yuan was also activating the killer move. Xia Fei Kuai activated a saw wheel light. Fang Yuan could activate 30 to 40,000 small turtle shell thoughts at the same time. Then, the saw wheel light was surrounded by more than 6,000 little tortoiseshell intents and shattered. Even an idiot could calculate this clearly. The method that Xia Fei Kuai had high hopes for actually ended up like this. Chapter 1318. Damn it. Xia Fei Kuai gritted his teeth. He had spent so much effort to activate the saw light wheel, but now, it seemed like a joke. The small tortoise shell-like thoughts were still growing at this moment. 50,000, 60,000, the numbers kept increasing. Not only did they overflow the valley, they were also expanding outwards. There were countless small tortoise shells, some were floating in the air, some were rotating, and in the middle was the divination tortoise that Fang Yuan had transformed into. Its huge body was like an iron hill. This cannot go on. Xia Fei Kuai's sense of urgency was becoming stronger. The speed of growth is so fast. No wonder Wu Yihai set such a rule. But Lord Xia Fei Kuai has not used his methods yet. The outcome of this battle is not decided yet. Xia Zhuo thought, looking at Xia Fei Kuai with anticipation. Xia Fei Kuai was already preparing his killer move. Endless auras of GU worms surged out, surging to the extreme. Pride flashed on his face as he looked down at the divination tortoise. No matter how many there are, they are only thoughts, so what? Take this move, 33 heavenly lights. I want to see how many layers of heavenly lights your thoughts can last. Immortal killer move, 33 heavenly lights. One of Xia Fei Kuai's signature methods, famous in southern border. Is it going to appear? Lord Xia Fei Kuai's group attack method. Xia Zhuo was inwardly excited. This killer move had its own meaning. Once activated, with Xia Fei Kuai as the wick, it would shine with intense light. Under the illumination of the light, anything would suffer light path damage. The intense light flickered 33 times, the range of the light was huge, it was like it was descending from the sky, thus it was called 33 heavenly lights. The first flash did not do much damage to living things. At most, it could only kill some insects. But the second flash increased the damage by a level, it could destroy plants and flowers. The third flash, birds and beasts died under the heavenly light. The fourth flash, the trees disintegrated, and the rocks crumbled. The fifth flash, the sixth flash, so on and so forth, the intense light's damage would increase until it could threaten desolate beasts, or even ancient desolate beasts. The small tortoise shell-like thoughts were tough, but they could not compare to desolate beasts. They would definitely be destroyed by the 33 heavenly lights. This was an undeniable fact. Xia Fei Kuai used this move, but it was also a coincidence. 33 heavenly lights were not very practical, because once it was activated, one had to stop moving. Once one moved, this killer move would stop. Xia Fei Kuai even had to suffer from the backlash. Of course, there were differences. If the killer move was stopped before the 10th flash, Xia Fei Kuai would suffer light injuries. Between the 10th flash and the 23rd flash, his injuries would be moderate, and after the 23rd flash, he would be heavily injured. If the killer move was forced to stop after 30 times, then the backlash would be even stronger, causing Xia Fei Kuai to be on the verge of death. The stronger the immortal killer move, the greater the backlash if the activation failed. Soon, there was an explosion of light. The first time it flashed, Fang Yuan's tortoiseshell thought did not budge. The second time it flashed, the thoughts were still growing, but there was no impression. After the third flash of intense light, their thoughts began to waver. The fourth time, the individual thoughts collapsed on their own. For the fifth time, the hundreds of thoughts dissipated into nothingness. Xie Zhuomo, who was watching from the side, couldn't help but smile when he saw this scene. This was only the fifth time. The entire Immortal Killer move had a total of 33 consecutive flashes. However, why do I have a feeling that something is amiss? Xie Zhuomo thought. The sixth flash, over 1,000 thoughts were destroyed. The tortoiseshell thoughts outside were shaking, showing signs of not being able to endure it. The seventh time, I will get rid of you. Xie Fei Kuai sneered in his heart. But at this moment, swoosh, 70 to 80,000 small tortoiseshell thoughts suddenly entered Fang Yuan's body like a tide. To be more precise, it had shrunk into his mind. He had turned into a divination tortoise. This ancient wisdom path desolate beast had a very wide mind. It was extremely easy for it to bear 70 to 80,000 thoughts. What? Xie Fei Kuai was dumbfounded. Xie Zhuomo patted his head, feeling hatred in his heart. I finally know what is wrong. These small tortoiseshell are thoughts in essence. Since they are thoughts, they can be stored in the Gu Immortal's mind. Thereupon, in the whole valley, 70 to 80,000 thoughts disappeared, entering Fang Yuan's mind. Only the giant divination tortoise was left. It was still lying on the ground. In the air, Xie Fei Kuai's Immortal Killer move was still going on. Seventh flash, eighth flash, ninth flash, but without thoughts. What was the point of these intense lights? And the Immortal Killer move was still in the process of activating. It could not be casually stopped. Thus, Xie Fei Kuai could only continue to activate the killer move. 10th flash, 11th, 12th. The scene was very awkward. After 33 flashes, Xie Fei Kuai expended a large amount of immortal essence, while the divination tortoise that Fang Yuan had turned into was only left with a giant tortoiseshell. It was as stable as Mount Tai, unmoving. And the small valley that he had been residing in had turned into a flat land. 33 heavenly lights were indeed powerful. It forcefully turned the surrounding 1,000 li of land into a flat land. The mountains and hills were all gone. This killer move is truly amazing. Fang Yuan did not stint on his praise. Saying so, he stretched out his head, tail, and limbs from the tortoise shell. His limbs and head were not as tough as the tortoise shell. Thus, in the following flashes, Fang Yuan retracted his shell. He was not injured at all. Hearing Fang Yuan praising him again, Xie Fei Kuai felt extremely gloomy. Too shameless. Xie Zhuomo gritted his teeth, looking at the shameless Fang Yuan with hatred. Especially when he saw the 100,000 tiny tortoiseshell thoughts crawl out of Fang Yuan's mind and spread, surrounding the divination tortoise. The hatred in his eyes deepened. How can we break this? Xie Clan's 2 Gu immortals were thinking about this problem. 3 moves have passed already. Fang Yuan reminded plainly. Xie Fei Kuai shouted, then take a few more moves. Saying so, he pounced down, turning into a rainbow of light as he surrounded the divination tortoise and attacked. Countless tortoiseshell thoughts encircled and defended. But Xie Fei Kuai displayed the demeanor of an expert. He traversed the thoughts unhindered. Fang Yuan saw that he was truly enraged and attacked fiercely. He retracted his head, tail, and limbs back into his shell. Xie Fei Kuai was filled with hatred. This Wu Yi Hai was too wretched. He only left his tortoiseshell for him to hit. There was a huge tortoiseshell on the ground and countless tiny tortoiseshells flying in the sky. Xie Fei Kuai's hatred towards the tortoiseshell rose rapidly. After 10 moves, Xie Fei Kuai's efforts were in vain. There were only some light wounds on Fang Yuan's tortoiseshell. You've won this round. Xie Fei Kuai said this, then turned around and left, flying into the clouds. Xie Zhuomo was left groaning. He had to clean up this mess, or at least bring that Zhong Clan Jiu master away. 5 years. 5 years later, I will disturb your clan again. Xie Zhuomo also left with some unwillingness. Chapter 1319. After a spar, Xie Clan's Gu immortals lost and retreated. Fang Yuan stopped his transformation and returned to his human form, returning to Frosty Peak. The mortal Jiu house on Frosty Peak was also taken away, only an icy mountain was left, emitting frost energy. Fang Yuan sighed softly. His mental state was like an ancient well without any ripples. These victories were not worth boasting about. The so-called sense of honor had already left him. Speaking of which, this easy victory was also because I had an advantage. Know thyself, know thy enemy, and win 100 battles. The two Xia clan Jiu immortals did not know Fang Yuan's strength, they only estimated it. On the contrary, Fang Yuan knew a lot about them. Be it killer moves or personalities, he had a thorough understanding of them with Wu clan's help. This showed how important information was in Jiu immortal battles. Actually, in the spar between Fang Yuan and the two Xia clan Jiu immortals, it was like Wu Yubo losing to immortal Yang Huang. This was an advantage in terms of information. Wu Yubo was very strong, but his signature killer move was seen through. He lost the entire battle due to a moment of carelessness. Fang Yuan knew more, he advanced step by step, he made many plans and made the Xia clan Jiu immortals retreat in the end. Immortal killer move Vajra thought is quite effective. But after using it this time, it will not be easy to have such an effect in the future. The two Xia clan Jiu immortals returned in defeat. They would definitely learn from their experience and think of ways to counter or even break the immortal killer move Vajra thought. Breaking it was very difficult, but finding a way to counter it was often easier. Wu Yihai's identity is starting to become famous. Only divination taught us transformation and immortal killer move Vajra thought can be used. But the more I use it, the more I will be targeted by others, or even broken. Actually, reverse flow protection seal is the same. After the Battle of Northern Plains, Celestial Court, the 10 great ancient sects, Longevity Heaven, Old Ancestor Xue Hu, and others will analyze it. I need to pay attention to it the next time I use it. Especially in front of these people. Fang Yuan became vigilant. Wu Yubo's fate was right in front of them. It was not easy to create an immortal killer move, but a powerful immortal killer move could not remain unchanged for a long time, it needed to advance and improve with time. This way, others could counter or even break your killer move, only then would you be able to face them effectively. Modifying and upgrading immortal killer moves was naturally a difficult matter. Other than sudden inspiration, the true test was the Jiu Immortal's attainment level. And the best place to raise my attainment level, in this world, is definitely dream realms. Fang Yuan's thoughts involuntarily drifted to that giant dream realm again. It was precisely because of the widespread appearance of dream realms that during the 5 regions chaotic war in Fang Yuan's previous life, all sorts of characters appeared one after another. Together, they formed a magnificent era of war and chaos. It is a pity that I am Wu Yihai now. I have just joined Wu clan. If I forcefully request to go to the Super Jiu formation, it would be very suspicious. Although this matter has come to an end, I don't know when I will be able to regain the giant dream. I should focus on what is in front of me and let nature take its course. Fang Yuan thought of this as he landed on Frosty Peak. He had yet to properly search this mountain peak that was rich in ice path resources. After chasing away Xia clan's Jiu immortals, Fang Yuan had a rare opportunity, he would not let it go. On Frosty Peak, cold air pressed down, snow covered the ground. In the depths of the snow, there were large numbers of insects, including many wild Jiu worms, as well as many cold-resistant plants and animals. They formed a balanced ecological landscape. Frost jade. Soon, Fang Yuan found something. A large amount of frost jade appeared in his investigative senses. These frost jade were at the bottom of the snow, hidden in the mountain rocks. Frost jade is only a rank 5 Jiu material, but there is some frost jade essence inside. It can be considered a rank 6 immortal material. Fang Yuan did not say anything, he started to mine. Rumble. The snow flew, exposing the exposed mountain rocks. Soon, these rocks also flew, exposing the frost jade inside the mountain. These frost jade were mainly white in color, but there were traces of green in the jade. They emitted intense frost energy, but it did not affect Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan took out all the frost jade in this area. He did not let go of the frost jade essence, but he did not extract it. It was still in the center of this huge frost jade. Next, Fang Yuan's footprints covered the whole of Frosty Peak. Huge pieces of frost jade were dug out by him. The smallest frost jade was the size of an elephant, while the largest was the size of a ship. Almost every piece of frost jade had frost jade essence. Some of the larger frost jade essence were even 1,000-year frost jade essence. These were rank 7 GU materials. These frost jades were not undiscovered. Wu clan had purposely left them here, not wanting to weaken Frosty Peak's foundation. These frost jades formed the foundation of Frosty Peak. Without them, Frosty Peak would not have such a unique and outstanding resource point. Fang Yuan stored most of the frost jades into his pouch. Not just that, he also collected many wild GU worms. There was no need to think about wild immortal GU. Normally speaking, Frosty Peak could only produce a rank 6 wild immortal GU after hundreds or even thousands of years. If there were wild immortal GU, Xia clan's GU immortals would not admit defeat so easily. Most of these GU worms were Ice Path wild GU, but there were also some Earth Path and Water Path GU worms. Among the Ice Path wild GU, the most common was a type of Frost Wave GU. These GU worms moved in groups, and would often roam around Frosty Peak for a period of time. Thus, they would create an intense frost wave that spread towards the surrounding mountain ranges of Frosty Peak. This was also the reason for Frosty Peak's name. After plundering, Fang Yuan flew into the air and took a final look at this Frosty Peak. The Frosty Peak, which was originally covered in snow and had a picturesque scenery, had now become a place full of potholes, uneven peaks, and trifling rocks all over the mountains and fields. Not only did it spoil the scenery, but the entire Frosty Peak's assets had been reduced by more than half, and because of the large amount of frost jade, its foundation had also been greatly reduced. If I use Pulling Mountain Immortal GU, I might be able to pull up this mountain and move it to my sovereign blessed land. Unfortunately, this method won't work. My identity on the surface is Wu Yihai, a member of Wu clan. This time, I was greedy and embezzled the resources. I have already reached the limit of the righteous path's unwritten rules. I cannot continue. If I really pull up the mountain, not mentioning the possibility of exposing my true identity, Wu clan will definitely not be able to explain it. Fang Yuan sighed to himself. He did not linger here any longer. He flew into the sky like lightning. Soon, his figure vanished into the clouds. Several days later, Fang Yuan returned to Wu clan's headquarters and saw Wu Yong again. This time, it was all thanks to my brother's help. You protected Frosty Peak for the clan, and even deterred those rascals. Wu Yong nodded towards Fang Yuan, showing an expression of praise. Brother is overpraising me. I was just lucky. Fang Yuan said humbly. Elder Wu Fa, have you calculated it yet? My brother's contribution this time is not a simple matter. We need to consider the big picture. Wu Yong turned around and said to another Wu clan GU immortal. This Wu clan GU immortal had an ordinary appearance, but his authority was not ordinary. He was Wu Yong's trusted aide. He calculated the rewards and punishments of the clan's GU immortals. Wu Fa frowned slightly. We have already witnessed Lord Wu Yihai's bravery. After this battle, Lord's name will definitely spread in Southern Border's GU immortal world. But if we want to reward them according to their contributions, firstly, Lord Wu Yihai did not resolve this matter completely. He set a 5-year agreement. Secondly, Frosty Peak has been exploited viciously. Its foundation is greatly damaged. Its value is greatly reduced. Oh, Frosty Peak actually had a problem? Wu Yong was surprised. He turned to look at Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan sighed. I did not expect Xia clan's 2 GU immortals to be such people. Wu Yong raised his brows slightly. Brother, did you personally see Xia clan's GU immortals excavate Frosty Peak? I did not, it was only my guess. Maybe there were other lone cultivator GU immortals? Fang Yuan's reply was flawless. Wu Yong nodded. He was silent for a while. In that case, Elder Wu Fa, please make the decision. Elder Wu Fa continued to calculate, before handing a list to Fang Yuan. Chapter 1320. Fang Yuan took a look. There were many GU materials on the list. Most of them were mortal GU materials. There were immortal materials, but they were few. Fang Yuan knew that if he handed over the frost jades and jade essences, the rewards would not be this much. Wu Yong and Wu Fa were actually putting on an act. They were not plotting against Fang Yuan, but to give Fang Yuan a way out. Fang Yuan excavated Frosty Peak. Even though it did not cross the bottom line, Wu Clan would rather have the original Frosty Peak. But Fang Yuan did not hand it over. He was silent for a while before saying, "I wonder if we can exchange these rewards for a mortal GU material, dragon scale soil?" Wu Yong was slightly stunned. He looked at Wu Fa. The latter thought about it and nodded. After returning to his residence, Fang Yuan continued to cultivate. This time, he obtained a lot of frost jades and jade essences. Fang Yuan could almost create a miniature Frosty Peak in mini southern border in the sovereign immortal aperture. But this was not the main point. The main point was the dragon scale soil. This special soil was only an ordinary GU material. It was hard and formed into granules. If a layer of dragon scale soil was on the ground, it would look like layers of dragon scales. Dragon scale soil was the soil of dragon desolate beasts, ancient desolate dragons, and even immemorial desolate dragons. Because it was contaminated with dragon chi, it gradually formed. Fang Yuan had purchased this soil in his early years. The reason was that with this soil, the dragonfish would have more urge to reproduce. Right now, he did not want other rewards, he only wanted this GU material. It was for the same reason. The sovereign immortal aperture's time has slowed down by many times. This has caused the immortal aperture's resource production to decrease by a lot. Right now, I do not have enough immortal essence and immortal yuan stone. As long as I expand the scale of resource production, this pressure can be alleviated. After Fang Yuan's consideration, he set the first resource point to expand as dragonfish. Desolate beast dragonfish and ordinary dragonfish had always been the main transactions in jewel yellow skies. The dragonfish seemed to be a creation of food path. It could replace a portion of many GU worms and feed them. Not every GU immortal had an immortal GU. However, every superpower would purchase a large number of dragonfish from time to time. This was the largest flow of arowana sales in the jewel yellow skies market. In the following period of time, Fang Yuan mainly focused on the construction of the sea. Right now, the sovereign immortal aperture's mini eastern sea was no longer a shallow pool of water. Because Fang Yuan annexed a large number of water path immortal apertures, mini eastern sea was already filled with waves. Even though it was not deep, it looked like an ocean on the surface. There were almost no islands, and the sea itself was no different. Fang Yuan's plan was to build a dragon-scale sea. Man-made seas. This was not Fang Yuan's creation, nor was it his own. In fact, in Eastern Sea's GU Immortal world, many GU Immortals had already created artificial sea areas. Right now, on the ranking board of Eastern Sea's GU Immortal world, many of the famous sea areas were man-made sea areas. They were constructed step by step. Of course, naturally formed sea areas still occupied most of the positions on the ranking board. Man-made sea areas were not easy to construct. Fang Yuan spent a lot of time and effort to lay down the dragon scale soil. He then set up a mortal GU formation, using the power of the GU formation to isolate this sea area into a special sea area. Next, he lured the original dragonfish group into the sea area. The dragonfish group entered this sea area. They were much more relaxed than before. Their mating behavior also increased by a lot. However, this was not enough. Next, Fang Yuan began to prepare Immortal Killer Move, Bountiful Year. This Immortal Killer Move came from He Fan's true inheritance. But in fact, it was not created by He Fan, it was created by a GU Immortal great expert known as Pill Immortal. He was the one who created this Immortal Killer Move. He Fan used other resources to exchange for it. This was a very rare Immortal Killer Move that was used to manage the Immortal Aperture. It did not have any offensive power. But it was very practical. Even He Fan had left a comment in the True Inheritance. He praised this Immortal Killer Move greatly. GU worms flew into the sky one after another. The mystical aura continued to expand and become denser. The bountiful year that Fang Yuan was activating had already been modified by him. The original bountiful year had Year GU as the core immortal GU, with tens of thousands of supplementary GU worms. But now, Fang Yuan had obtained a new rank 7 immortal GU, Perseverance. Fang Yuan ingeniously added Perseverance Immortal GU as the first supplementary GU worm. More than 10 days later, Bountiful Year's preparation was completed, it was activated. The mystical power covered the whole of Dragon Scale Sea area, but the effect could not be seen in such a short period of time. The original Bountiful Year killer move, even Heifan, needed 2 to 3 days to activate. This was already long enough. After I modified it and added Perseverance Immortal GU, the time became even longer, it took almost half a month. Fortunately, the activation succeeded and I did not suffer any backlash. Fang Yuan continued to ponder and comprehend. My time path attainment level is still very ordinary, I could only barely add Perseverance Immortal GU in after the modification. This is the main reason for the huge increase in time. The shorter the activation time of an immortal killer move, the simpler the process, the higher the possibility of the killer move's activation, and the safer the GU immortal would be. But Fang Yuan's actions had more advantages than disadvantages. With Perseverance Immortal GU's help, the duration of Bountiful Year would be doubled. The original Bountiful Year could only affect 1 year in the immortal aperture. But now, Fang Yuan could only activate it once, but it could affect 2 years. This was also indirectly saving a portion of Red Date Immortal Essence for Fang Yuan. Bountiful Year still has a lot of room for modification. Fusing Perseverance Immortal GU into it, or even fusing Immortal Level Day GU into it can raise the effect of Bountiful Year. But with my current attainment level, I have already reached the limit of time path. Forget it. The matter was settled. This immortal aperture construction was Fang Yuan's first big move. Right now, in Mini Eastern Sea, the first special sea area, Dragon Scale Sea area, had completely formed. Large numbers of dragonfish lived here, and among the dragonfish groups, 1 or 2 desolate beast dragonfish were very conspicuous. Bountiful Year's power not only enveloped the whole of Dragon Scale Sea, but also the vast area around this sea area. According to Heifan's true inheritance, once Bountiful Year is activated, although it consumes a lot of immortal essence, it can greatly increase the production of all kinds of resources in the immortal aperture for the next year. But the truth was not so. The Bountiful Year killer move that Fang Yuan activated only covered a portion of Mini Eastern Sea. On one hand, this was because Fang Yuan had added Perseverance Immortal GU, which reduced the area of effect of the killer move. On the other hand, the Sovereign Immortal Aperture was too huge, it was no different from a fantasy for Bountiful Year to cover the whole Sovereign Immortal Aperture. From Dragon Scale Lake to Dragon Scale Sea, this was a huge leap with profound significance. But after this matter, Fang Yuan's Immortal Yuan Stone and Immortal Essence reserves were almost depleted. To be safe, Fang Yuan started to sell all the resources that he did not need. For example, the Frost Jades and Jade Essences that he plundered from Frosty Peak, as well as large numbers of Ice Path Mortal GU. There were gains and losses, his current focus was on the dragonfish. After selling some of the resources on hand, Fang Yuan used all his strength to search for a portion of his gains, and bought a lot of dragonfish from Jewel Yellow Skies. He released these dragonfish into Dragon Scale Sea area. It could be said that he was betting heavily on this project. There was no doubt that this was somewhat risky. But if he did not do it well, the efficiency would be even lower. Comparatively speaking, in the current stable environment, Fang Yuan chose to be more aggressive and take bigger steps. But this way, because his immortal essence reserves were too little, Fang Yuan's hands and feet were tied, he could not casually cultivate, comprehend, or practice immortal killer moves. The days were somewhat difficult. Half a month later, the first batch of dragonfish was sold, the situation started to turn for the better. Over a month later, the second batch of dragonfish was sold by Fang Yuan to Wu Clan. To think that brother is so good at managing dragonfish. Even Wu Yong was a little surprised. Wu Clan originally wanted to buy dragonfish, but they bought them from outside, now they were selling them internally. Other than Wu Clan, there were also Qiao Clan and some other super clans that had close relationships with Wu Clan. Fang Yuan's third batch of dragonfish was sold. Using Wu Yihai's identity and the low price, Fang Yuan's dragonfish successfully entered the market of Southern Border's GU Immortal World. Chapter 1321. Southern Border, Wu Clan. In a secret cultivation room, Fang Yuan was floating in the air with a solemn expression. His long hair was fluttering in the wind, the auras of GU worms on his body were rising and mixing together. The crucial step. Fang Yuan thought to himself, his gaze turning sharp. He carefully activated a mortal GU. This was a metal path mortal GU, it was only rank 1. There was no risk in activating this GU alone. But the situation now was different. Bam! A muffled sound came from Fang Yuan's body. Fang Yuan felt like he was struck by lightning, his body shook intensely, his face was pale and a trace of blood flowed out of his mouth. I failed again. He sighed in his heart. He landed on the ground with his hand on his chest, inspecting his injuries. Thankfully, I only used a rank 1 mortal GU, this injury is not serious, I do not need to use man as before immortal GU to heal. With the sovereign immortal body's strong recovery ability, I can recover in 2 to 3 days. Fang Yuan was trying to modify the killer move Vajra back. Immortal killer move Vajra back used rank 6 immortal GU Vajra thought as the core. Fang Yuan used this killer move and his intelligence to defeat Xia clan's GU immortal Xia Fei Kuai. After that, Fang Yuan felt that this killer move was not done yet, there was still room for improvement. Fang Yuan attached great importance to this feeling. He knew that he had Wisdom Path and Transformation Path Grandmaster attainment level. This feeling was not groundless, it was very meaningful. It is a pity that even though I have made some progress in my deductions these days, there is little effect. It seems that my attainment level is still insufficient, I will give up for now. Fang Yuan sighed. Actually, his speed of improvement was already very impressive for other GU immortals. Back then, Vicious Lightning Fiend spent several years to deduce an immortal killer move, Lightning Deity. His speed of improvement was often less than 10% of Fang Yuan's current speed. But Fang Yuan giving up was a wise move. Because he had a method to raise his attainment level, as long as he raised his attainment level, he could modify the killer move Steel back in one go. As Fang Yuan continued to sell his dragonfish, his financial situation improved to a certain extent. Only then did he have the time to modify the immortal killer move. Deducing immortal killer moves expended a lot of resources. For example, if the practice failed, the GU immortal would suffer a backlash, they would need to heal their injuries. The GU worms were also damaged and needed to be constantly replenished. If the immortal GU were damaged, it would be even more troublesome. However, if one's realm was high enough, they would be able to improve it immediately, saving a lot of energy, time, and resources. Fang Yuan was barely able to improve it in terms of realm. Although he could improve it, the price he had to pay was a relatively large sum. After thinking about it, he decisively gave up this small plan in his cultivation. After resting for a while, Fang Yuan activated his GU worm and poured his mind into Jewel Yellow Skies. In Jewel Yellow Skies, his mind was very familiar. He arrived in front of a GU Immortal's will and conversed. I will pay 1,300 Immortal Yuan stone for these divine deer fruits, sell them to me. Fang Yuan said. This GU Immortals will shook his head, saying helplessly, I said, this price is too low. Fellow Immortal, you've come here 3 times already. If you really want to buy them, pay another 200 Immortal Yuan stone and you can take them away. This divine deer fruit was a rank 6 immortal material. It was not a rare GU material, but there were few people selling it. There was no other reason, there was little demand for it. But Fang Yuan needed it to feed Vajra Thought Immortal GU. He obtained Vajra Thought Immortal GU, he needed to solve the problem of feeding it, he could not let this immortal GU starve to death. Fang Yuan did not speak, he sized it up. This stall's divine deer fruits were of good quality. Fang Yuan had already shopped in Jewel Yellow Skies several times, he found that the divine deer fruits here were of top quality. The price was also reasonable. Thus, he had come here several times. Divine deer fruits were not fruits that grew on trees or flowers, they were shaped like a baby's fist, they grew on the antlers of a type of desolate beast, the elk. Fruit-bearing elk. Fang Yuan had already inquired about the name of this desolate beast. Jewel Yellow Skies also sold them. But even if he bought a batch, how many divine deer fruits could he produce? That was a question worth investigating. The production of any resource had its own method of cultivation. Fang Yuan could produce dragonfish. It was not the result of random experiments, he had the experience of Dongfang tribe. This was the foundation of a super tribe. Thus, Fang Yuan's dragonfish were of good quality, they were produced smoothly, the cost was low, and the profits were high. Now, I need to gather a portion of divine deer fruits for the first feeding of Vajra Thought Immortal GU. In the future, when I have more funds, I will consider how to raise the fruit-bearing elk, to be self-sufficient and feed Vajra Thought Immortal GU independently. As for whether I can mass-produce this divine deer fruit and turn it into another source of profit, that will depend on my future fortuitous encounters. Fang Yuan thought as he communicated with the GU Immortal's will, then I will take a look. But at this time, the GU Immortal's will in front of Fang Yuan suddenly paused, he changed his words, my main body's consciousness has entered, he said we can discuss the price. You guys can discuss it yourselves. Saying so, the GU Immortals will retreated. Fang Yuan was overjoyed. He was waiting for this situation. This GU Immortal who sold the divine deer fruits left the divine deer fruits in Jewel Yellow Skies, he also left a will to look after them. But even though this will could think and communicate, it abided by the GU Immortal's bottom line, this made Fang Yuan unable to negotiate. Now that the GU Immortal's will entered, Fang Yuan could communicate with him, there was a high chance of success. There was a lot of content that could be discussed. I need the divine deer fruits to feed the immortal GU. So, if we can reach a deal, it will not be just this once. How about it? I will pay 1,300 immortal yuan stones. Fang Yuan persuaded. That GU Immortal hesitated, this is the first time we have met, there is no proof, should I believe you or not? He, forget it, 1,400 immortal yuan stones, we can make a deal. After making 3 such deals, the price will be 1,300 immortal yuan stones. What do you think? Evidently, this GU Immortal was not an idiot, he was shrewd. Fang Yuan, however, refused. If I had enough money, I would not bargain with you like this. 1,250 immortal yuan stones. That GU Immortal smiled bitterly, all right. If not for the fact that I am in a rush and the divine deer fruits are selling slowly, I would not agree to such a price. Money was exchanged, goods were exchanged. After the deal was done, Fang Yuan let out a sigh of relief. The problem of Vajra Thought Immortal goose feeding was resolved for now. Next, it was Divination Tortoise Shell Immortal Goose turn. This immortal GU devoured seaweed. Of course, it was not ordinary seaweed, it was ancient ink seaweed, a rank 6 immortal material. This seaweed was pitch black like a demon, once its skin broke, it would turn the surrounding seawater into black ink. Fang Yuan was tight on money now, he planned to purchase some ancient ink seaweed to feed Divination Tortoise Shell Immortal GU. He would make further plans in the future. In this aspect, Immortal Level Day GU was much better. Because it also devoured the water of the River of Time, GU Immortals did not need to worry about feeding it. In Jewel Yellow Skies, there were more GU Immortals selling ancient ink seaweed than divine deer fruits. But Fang Yuan did not reach a deal after contacting them. They did not agree on the price. But he was not anxious, there was still some time before the next feeding of Divination Tortoise Shell Immortal GU. Thankfully, Dragon Scale Sea area has been constructed, as long as this continues, I will have more money in the future. Next, I will construct coiling thread caves and raise regretful spiders on a large scale. Fang Yuan considered it, the market for regretful spiders was huge, especially in Western Desert. Although it was not as widespread as the dragonfish, it was still in high demand. But now, Fang Yuan was short on funds, he needed time to accumulate them. After accumulating a sum of funds, he could start construction. At this rate, I estimate that I will have the first sum of funds in a month and can construct the coiling thread caves. I hope that by then, Wu Clan will have calmed down and I will be able to return to the giant dream realm. Wu Yihai's identity restricted Fang Yuan's freedom. Especially in Wu Clan's situation, he could not express his stance. Over this month, Wu Yong led Wu Clan to resist the difficulties of the superforces. There were gains and losses. Wu Clan's reputation was tarnished, but there were very few losses in terms of benefits. Thus, this situation had to continue. Wu Yong wanted to regain his reputation, but the other superforces and clans were not resigned to this. They wanted to obtain some substantial benefits. The battles between Righteous Path were different from Demonic Path. Demonic Path GU Immortals often fought fiercely and suddenly, while Righteous Path GU Immortals were soft and gentle, often lasting for a long time. It was just right. This was especially true for superpowers. Both superpowers had huge businesses. It would be very difficult for two superpowers to ignore everything else and fight each other to the death. Fang Yuan's cultivation life did not last for long. A few days later, he received another mission from Wu Yong. Mountain snail? Mountain moving old monster? Fang Yuan's brows furrowed. It was not that he had no confidence in completing this mission, but the current situation was not good. Last time, when Fang Yuan resolved the matter of Frosty Peak, he actually held back his strength and methods. The result was barely satisfactory. It was only a 5-year agreement, and he even embezzled the resources of Frosty Peak. Although this was an unwritten rule of the Righteous Path, he had touched the bottom line. This was naturally Fang Yuan's intention, to leave a bad impression on Wu Yong. Leaders naturally did not like to use such people, so sending Fang Yuan to that Super GU formation earlier was in line with Fang Yuan's wish. But Wu Clan was indeed lacking in manpower now. Their territory was too big. Mountain Snail's matter was sudden. Wu Yong had no choice but to use Fang Yuan to resolve this problem. Chapter 1322. Southern Border. It was drizzling. The green mountains stretched endlessly. Fang Yuan was dressed in blue clothes. He stood on a rock and looked at this beautiful river and mountains. His gaze finally focused on one of the mountains. This mountain was very special. The surrounding mountains were either tall or short, dangerous or flat. As for this mountain, it was round and had form. This was Mount Snail. Or rather, Mountain Snail. It was an immemorial, desolate beast. A giant snail, its shell was as tall as a tower, it spiraled up layer by layer and was covered in green moss. When it was motionless, its soft limbs were all retracted into the shell, as if it was a mountain, standing tall and erect. But now, it had already awakened and was moving slowly. Rumble, rumble, rumble. When it moved, the ground within a radius of 100 miles would tremble slightly. Wherever it went, birds and beasts would scurry away. Fang Yuan stood on another mountain peak, looking at this immemorial desolate beast Mountain Snail's migration with a calm expression. Its speed was very slow. Although Mountain Snail was an immemorial desolate beast, it had a gentle nature. It was hard to anger it. It could be said to be harmless. Not only harmless, it was also beneficial. Because Mountain Snail's body contained rich enslavement path and earth path Dao marks, it formed a special environment around it that nurtured a vast amount of enslavement path and earth path resources. The ownership of Mountain Snail had always been an unresolved topic. Few GU Immortals could control Mountain Snail. Even rank 8 enslavement path GU Immortals would have difficulty controlling it. Because Mountain Snail itself had extremely rich enslavement path Dao marks. In Southern Border, there were 7 known mountain snails. Long ago, Southern Border's superforces made an agreement. As long as these mountain snails were not controlled by others, they would be wild mountain snails. Whoever's territory it was in would be the property of that clan. This mountain snail was originally in Wu Clan's territory. It naturally belonged to Wu Clan. There was no doubt about this. But now, when Mountain Snail was migrating, it was moving away from Wu Clan's territory. Mountain Snail's original location was at the border of Wu Clan's territory. In fact, this was during Wu Du Xiu's era. Wu Clan specially expanded their territory and included Mountain Snail. Now the Mountain Snail was migrating, leaving the Wu family's territory, but there were no other righteous superforces in the place it was heading to. This also meant that this Mountain Snail would become a wild and ownerless object. Wu Yong naturally did not want to see such a situation happen. But he did not have enough manpower, so he could only give this task to his younger brother, Wu Yihai. Is it Wu Yihai? I am Qin Jingsheng. I have the nickname of Mountain Moving Old Monster. A Gu immortal flew over from another mountain peak. Fang Yuan looked at the newcomer. This old Gu immortal was wearing a green-grey stone armor. His hair was both black and white. It was messy like a pile of straw. The corners of his clothes were also tattered and unkempt. But his rank 7 aura was overflowing. His aura was oppressive, especially his eyes. They flickered with sharp light as he sized up Fang Yuan like a senior looking at a junior. Yes, I am Wu Yihai. Greetings to senior mountain-moving old monster. Fang Yuan bowed slightly, showing the demeanor of a righteous path expert. This mountain-moving old monster had the word old in his title. It naturally meant that he was an old veteran, over 2,000 years old. He had lifespan GU and unique methods to extend his life. His battle strength was also extremely high. He was a famous expert among lone immortals, on the same level as old Treeman Baeder and Wu Clan's Wu Yubo. A rank 7 GU immortal like Xia Fei Kuai could not compare to mountain-moving old monster. Thus, when mountain-moving old monster sized up Fang Yuan, his attitude was not polite. He called himself an old senior, even though Fang Yuan came from Wu Clan. He, looking at the time, your Wu Clan should have sent someone over already. Let's sit down and talk. Mountain-moving old monster smiled. He landed on a rock and sat down. Fang Yuan also sat down with a smile. Mountain-moving old monster saw that Fang Yuan did not look down on him, nor did he maintain the demeanor of an immortal. He had a good impression of him. I almost forgot, Wu Yihai, you are a lone cultivator. Even though you joined Wu Clan, you do not have the hypocritical demeanor of those righteous path members. Fang Yuan shook his head. The righteous path has its own demeanor. As for me, I spend most of my time cultivating in seclusion in Eastern Sea. This foundation cannot be changed. Ha ha ha. Mountain-moving old monster laughed heartily. I heard that even though you chased away the 2 Xia clan GU immortals, you still looted Frosty Peak. Fang Yuan showed a surprised expression. Senior, this is groundless gossip. I have never admitted it. Mountain-moving old monster laughed heartily again. After laughing, he sighed deeply. Righteous path GU immortals do not understand you, but I do. How difficult is it for us lone cultivators to become immortals? Every cultivation resource was earned with his own 2 hands. If we miss this opportunity, there will not be another one, so we need to grasp the benefits we have now. Who knows what we will encounter in the future? As for those righteous path GU immortals, even if they stay at home, they will have a lot of resources. How can they understand the suffering and difficulties of us lone cultivators? Fang Yuan's expression was indifferent. He did not agree, nor did he refute. He knew that mountain-moving old monster's words were not just to get close to him, but also to express his determination. He, mountain-moving old monster, was a lone cultivator, and the benefits he could obtain were Mount Snail. His determination could not be shaken. Wu Yihai, who was once a lone cultivator, should be clear about this. I naturally understand Senior's intentions, but I hope Senior can understand me. I have my own difficulties in coming here. Fang Yuan said. Mountain-moving old monster chuckled. Everyone has their own difficulties. When one was old, their words carried deep meaning. Everyone had their own difficulties. Not only did he agree with Fang Yuan's words, he also expressed that he had his own difficulties, and most importantly, Wu Clan was currently in a difficult situation. Fang Yuan did not speak. In a battle of words, sometimes silence was a method. Sure enough, mountain-moving old monster could not restrain himself. He handed an information path mortal GU to Fang Yuan. Take a look. Fang Yuan took a look. This mortal gu's contents were very valuable. If Fang Yuan obtained it, he could directly construct a coiling thread cave. Let's cooperate. I will obtain Mount Snail, and you will obtain these. How about it? Mountain-moving old monster smiled. He was actually thinking of bribing Fang Yuan. But this was not strange at all. On the contrary, it was within Fang Yuan's expectations. Mountain-moving old monster was a lone cultivator, and from his perspective, he naturally did not want to offend the number 1 righteous path force, Wu Clan. Even though the Wu Clan was currently in a difficult situation, Such a colossus was not something that he, mountain-moving old monster, could deal with alone. More importantly, if mountain-moving old monster obtained this Mount Snail, he would no longer be someone who could freely advance and retreat. Mount Snail could not be stored in an immortal aperture, unless it was completely controlled. Mountain-moving old monster was an Earthpath GU immortal. He clearly did not have such attainment. This way, he would become the owner of this Mount Snail, and if enemies attacked in the future, he would have to defend the mountain. If he offended Wu Clan's GU immortals would attack one after another. How could he resist them alone? Even if he could resist once, what about the second or third time? Even if he could resist them all, he would have to expend some energy in battle, right? Mountain-moving old monster was harassed repeatedly. Would he still have time to cultivate? Thus, there was only one path in front of mountain-moving old monster. That was to negotiate with Wu Clan peacefully. Wu Clan was not willing to let go of this Mount Snail, but the huge Wu Clan was also made up of clan members. As long as it was an organization, it would not be an airtight fortress. There would definitely be a gap that could be monopolized. Wu Yihai's appearance gave mountain-moving old monster even greater hope. Old Senior, do you want to use these to exchange for an immemorial desolate beast? Fang Yuan held the information path mortal GU with a faint smile. These are already of extraordinary value. Although this Mount Snail is an immemorial desolate beast, who can control it? If I become the owner of this mountain, I will only be able to plunder the resources produced here. Of course, if you have any conditions, we can discuss them. Mountain-moving old monster's eyes shined. His attitude also became much more enthusiastic. Since Fang Yuan did not directly reject him, mountain-moving old monster felt that there was a way, and his hope doubled. The contents of this list need to be doubled at least. This was Fang Yuan's first sentence. Mountain-moving old monster immediately frowned. Mount Snail cannot be yours in name, it will still belong to Wu Clan. This was Fang Yuan's second sentence. Mountain-moving old monster stared with wide eyes, his expression changing into anger. But in reality, Senior is the owner of this mountain, most of the profits will belong to you, but you still need to hand over a portion to our Wu Clan every year. This was Fang Yuan's third sentence. Mountain-moving old monster started to sneer, his expression was dark as water. Wu Yihai, are you making fun of me? Of course not. Fang Yuan had a serious expression. He stood up and fearlessly looked at mountain-moving old monster. Dare I ask Senior 3 questions? Mountain-moving old monster suppressed the anger in his heart. Speak. First, Senior is alone, and does not belong to any super faction. How can my Wu Clan leave Mount Snail in your hands? It is fine if it is a super faction, but letting a lone cultivator benefit is related to the reputation of my Wu Clan. Second, even if Senior temporarily occupies this Mount Snail, how long can you guard it for? Even if my Wu Clan does not touch you, what about the other super factions? Third, Senior thinks that just by bribing me, you can make the entire Wu Clan sit back and do nothing? Mountain-moving old monster was silent. After a long while, he sighed and said with a hoarse voice, then according to your method, won't this old man become the mountain watchman of your Wu Clan? Fang Yuan smiled faintly. It is just an empty reputation. How can everything be perfect? What I've mentioned isn't too much. I'm only doing it because we're all rogue cultivators. Do you want face, or do you want substance? Senior, please think about it. Mountain-moving old monster was silent again. Chapter 1323. Several days later. Looking at Mount Snail moving away with mountain-moving old monster standing at the peak with the attitude of a master, Fang Yuan retracted his gaze and started to walk back. The matter of Mount Snail came to an end. With Fang Yuan as the representative, Wu Clan reached an agreement with mountain-moving old monster. Mountain-moving old monster obtained most of the profits of Mount Snail, but this immemorial desolate beast still belonged to Wu Clan in name. The mission that Wu Yong gave to Fang Yuan was to protect Mount Snail. Fang Yuan had already protected it, just a portion, but it could be said that he had completed this mission. Mountain-moving old monster agreed to my conditions because I was relying on Wu Clan's power. As for Wu Yong, He is in a terrible situation right now. He is busy dealing with the difficulties of the other super forces. He can only reluctantly approve of my handling of Mount Snail. Wu clan is currently in a precarious situation. As Wu Yong's brother, I should not loiter outside, I should return as soon as possible. Fang Yuan was quite satisfied with the result of this matter. He had an explanation to the Wu clan, and most importantly, he had obtained plenty of benefits from this mission. The coiling thread caves had already started construction. Because of this amount of resources, Fang Yuan had the spare energy to build a second large-scale resource cave. According to the previous speed of development, he would need to wait for at least half a year. During this period, he could not allow any accidents to happen. For example, intense battles would consume a lot of red date immortal essence. Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture's time was slowed. The production of red date immortal essence was not as good as before. Fang Yuan had to use immortal yuan stones to convert them into red date immortal essence. Right now, he was no longer green grape immortal essence. 100 immortal yuan stones could be converted into 1 bead of red date immortal essence. To construct the coiling thread caves, I need to set up a GU formation. I also need the rank 6 immortal material, soft yin silk, and rank 7 immortal material, hate water stone. With this amount of resources, these can be completed. It is only a matter of time. The crucial thing is, when can I return to the dream realm? Wu Yong's attitude is the key. Fang Yuan pondered as he hurried along. On his way back, in Wu clan's headquarters, 2 GU immortals were talking about Wu Yihai. One was Wu clan's rank 8 GU immortal, First Supreme Elder Wu Yong. The other was Wu Yong's trusted aide, Wu Fa. I didn't expect my younger brother to solve the problem of Mount Snail so quickly this time. Elder Wu Fa, according to the family rules, how should he be rewarded? Wu Yong asked. Wu Fa pondered for a moment. He knew that the meaning behind Wu Yong's question was not just the surface content, but his attitude towards Wu Yihai. This was a test of martial punishment. Because Wu Yihai's identity was special, he and Wu Yong were brothers from the same mother but different fathers. Wu Fa quickly thought and answered, Lord Wu Yihai is ultimately a lone cultivator. Just one sentence. But Wu Yong laughed heartily. Not bad, your evaluation is good. This Wu Yihai is a lone cultivator after all. Even after returning to the clan, he has not changed. He is still trying to make a fortune and is greedy for small gains. Wu Fa, however, said, Frosty Peak and Mount Snail, these two are not small gains. Wu Yong's laughter stopped, a cold light flashed in his eyes as he nodded. It is not good. If everyone is like this, how can Wu clan continue to exist? But his methods are quite appropriate. He did not leave behind any evidence that could be used against him. Saying so, Wu Yong sighed and evaluated. He is quite capable. How could Wu Fa not understand Wu Yong's intentions? Wu Yong naturally did not like Fang Yuan's way of making profits. But the situation was pressing, he lacked manpower. Sometimes he had to mobilize Wu Yihai to deal with some matters. Fang Yuan had also displayed his abilities in these 2 incidents. This ability obtained Wu Yong's recognition, so Wu Yong would still use Fang Yuan next. But when the time came, and Wu clan's situation eased, Fang Yuan would be placed aside by Wu Yong. In fact, if Fang Yuan left behind any evidence, Wu Yong would use it to teach Fang Yuan a lesson. After all, Fang Yuan was seeking personal benefits like this. Any person in power would feel uncomfortable. Fang Yuan smoothly returned to Wu clan. He met with Wu Yong, and simply explained the entire situation. He received another reward from Wu clan. Fang Yuan exchanged for immortal yuan stone. Of course, this immortal yuan stone could not compare to what he obtained from mountain-moving old monster. It was much less. In the following days, Fang Yuan focused on cultivation. The construction of coiling thread cave was slowly carried out. This was the focus of his current cultivation. Every once in a while, Fang Yuan would place his immortal aperture to absorb heaven and earth qi to stabilize the sovereign blessed land. After all, Reverse Flow River was a secluded domain of heaven and earth. The burden on the immortal aperture was not light. This was slightly troublesome. Fang Yuan could not directly absorb heaven and earth qi, because each time he did so, the amount was huge, and the time interval between each absorption was short. This forced Fang Yuan to search for some immortal materials from the jewel yellow skies, then break them down into heaven and earth qi and infuse them into his body. This undoubtedly consumed a lot of Fang Yuan's energy and financial resources, but Fang Yuan would rather do so to complete the details. Only like this would he be able to persist for a long time, and not expose his identity in a short period of time. As the days passed, Fang Yuan started to feel impatient. Over at the giant dream realm, the twists and turns have already calmed down. But Wu Yong does not seem to have any signs of transferring me back. It seems that what I was worried about still happened. Sigh. Fang Yuan sighed. In this world, one had no choice. Wu Yong was busy dealing with all sorts of problems, he had to be stable. If he transferred Fang Yuan back, and something happened to the Super GU formation, wouldn't that be asking for trouble? And now, Wu Yong found that Fang Yuan was quite capable, he wanted him to continue dealing with some problems. As for Fang Yuan's corruption, Wu Yong turned a blind eye to it, he did not pursue it. He did not pursue it, but Fang Yuan was thinking. Fang Yuan disguised as Wu Yihai and joined Wu clan, wasn't it for the dream realm? It seems that I need to take action. On this day, Fang Yuan took the initiative to leave his residence. There were policies from above, and countermeasures from below. Fang Yuan was an astute person, how could he not have a way to deal with this? More than 10 days later, in a pavilion on Yuhua Mountain, several GU immortals sat around a stone table. The moonlight was like water, gently sprinkling down. Verdant green mountains, birds chirped in the night. A light breeze caressed their faces, it was a beautiful sight. Today is my Southern Border's annual moon festival, it is my honor to admire the moon with all of you tonight, it is an elegant occasion. Qiao Sai Liu smiled. Her voice was very beautiful, like the babbling of a mountain spring, it gave people a clear and pure feeling. She was even more beautiful. Her dress tonight was as white as snow, together with her beautiful appearance, she was like a fairy in the mortal world. It is my honor to be invited by Fairy Sai Liu to admire the moon together, Luo Mu Zi. A young-looking GU immortal spoke first. His smile was overflowing with passion, especially when he looked at Qiao Sai Liu, there was a burning passion in his gaze. Qiao Sai Liu was publicly recognized as one of the 3 great beauties in Southern Border's GU immortal world, and even more eye-catching was her clan background. Qiao clan, although it was a vassal of Wu clan, was also a righteous path superforce. There were 6 GU immortals present, 2 women and 4 men, besides a pair of Dao companions. Luo Muzi and Lun Fei were both pursuers of Qiao Sai Liu. Qiao Sai Liu had many pursuers, but to be invited by her to admire the moon, these 2 were naturally not ordinary. Luo Muzi and Lun Fei were naturally happy. The moment they received Qiao Sai Liu's invitation, they immediately rushed over. But at this time, Qiao Sai Liu said to another male GU immortal, Yi Hai, you said you want to integrate into Southern Border faster, admiring the moon tonight is our Southern Border's custom. Our Southern Border has many mountains and villages, isolated from each other, but the moon festival is a common festival. Every year at this time, we usually admire the moon. When she said this, her eyes shone, her voice was soft and her red lips carried a smile, it was extraordinary. Luo Muzi and Lun Fei immediately frowned, staring at Fang Yuan with gazes that seemed to be spewing fire. Qiao Sai Liu's different attitude could be sensed by anyone with discerning eyes, and today's seating arrangement had already made Luo Muzi and Lun Fei extremely unhappy. Because Qiao Sai Liu was sitting on the main seat, on her right was Fang Yuan, and on her left was her best friend Fairy Tian Lu. As for the other male GU immortals, they were separated at a distance. Moon Festival. Fang Yuan's expression was indifferent as he sat on the main seat, asking despite knowing the answer. Interesting, but besides admiring the moon, what else do we do? Drink tea, recite poems, and dissect rocks. Qiao Sai Liu explained with a smile. Dissect rocks. Fang Yuan showed a puzzled expression. Qiao Sai Liu did not reply, instead holding a cup of fragrant tea and handing it to Fang Yuan. Yi Hai, please have a taste of the tea I personally made. Seeing this, Luo Muzi almost stood up. Lun Fei's eyelids twitched, he wished he could replace Fang Yuan's position. Fang Yuan took a sip and evaluated, this tea seems pretty good. Not just pretty, this is Fairy Sai Liu's famous willow spiral tea. Luo Muzi almost shouted. What is so special about this? Fang Yuan looked at Qiao Sai Liu. Qiao Sai Liu first glanced at Fang Yuan, then her brows moved and her laughter was filled with a sense of gentleness. Lun Fei's heart beat wildly when he saw the fairy's charming smile. At this moment, Fairy Tian Lu very appropriately interrupted, for this willow spiral tea, as long as you gently shake it, a willow leaf-like whirlpool will form on the surface of the tea. Drinking it now is truly tasting the tea, the taste will not be ordinary. Oh, is that so? Fang Yuan followed the instructions and shook the cup in his hand. Instantly, the surface of the tea changed. When he drank it again, he felt the fragrance overflowing and lingering in his mouth, making him reminisce and enjoy it. Good tea. Fang Yuan praised. Of course it's good tea. Fairy Sai Liu's personally brewed tea is not something ordinary people can drink, Luo Muzi said sourly. To be praised by Yi Hai, my Sai Liu's efforts were not in vain. You should know that to make this tea, it takes 6 hours, and there must be no negligence during the entire process. Fairy Tian Lu said. Lun Fei was extremely moved. To be able to taste the willow spiral tea personally brewed by Fairy, it is the fortune of 3 lifetimes. Fairy Tian Lu instantly raised her eyebrows. Who said you can drink willow spiral tea? Sai Liu took time out of her busy schedule to make one. Chapter 1324. Qiao Sai Liu only made a portion of willow spiral tea and gave it to Fang Yuan. This method immediately changed the meaning of this willow spiral tea. Fang Yuan's expression slightly changed, revealing a flattered and overjoyed expression, but his mind was clear and calm. What a pity. No matter how beautiful you are, without eternal life, you will only be a pile of bones. Beauty is only bones, but people often forget about it. But this Fairy Tian Lu is really Qiao Sai Liu's best friend, their cooperation is outstanding. The only tea she made was given to Fang Yuan by Fairy Sai Liu in public. Luo Muzi and Lun Fei were still thinking of tasting it, but this was the answer. It was easy to imagine how stiff their expressions were at this moment. Qiao Sai Liu smiled lightly. Willow spiral tea is my original creation, it is just a token of my appreciation. This time, I have brought bewitching tea for everyone, please enjoy. She waved her long sleeves, and 5 cups of tea appeared on the stone table. This tea was different from the willow spiral tea, it was not a cup, but a small porcelain plate. At the center of this plate, there was a fist-sized dewdrop. This dewdrop was clear and smooth like jade. When the night wind blew, the surface trembled slightly, as if it could be broken. Bewitching tea is Qiao clan's famous tea in southern border, to think I could taste it today. Luo Muzi tried to smooth things over, but in fact, his gaze was still fixed on the cup of tea in front of Fang Yuan. Lun Fei's hands, which were placed under the stone table, were already clenched into fists. He gritted his teeth and took a sip of the small porcelain plate, immediately drinking the bewitching tea. Good tea. He opened his mouth, but his expression was still somewhat stiff. In fact, bewitching tea was indeed several grades higher than willow spiral tea. The latter was only created by Qiao Sai Liu herself, while the former was Qiao clan's signature tea. The signature tea of a superforce was naturally much better than the original creation of a GU immortal like Qiao Sai Liu. However, in Luo Muzi and Lun Fei's hearts, they would rather give up 100 cups of bewitching tea and drink a mouthful of willow spiral tea. Bewitching tea is still so refreshing, it gives people endless aftertastes. Sai Liu, with this tea, how can my flowing color tea be presentable? Fairy Heavenly Dew said with a smile. However, Qiao Sai Liu was not polite to her best friend. Then don't take it out. To be honest, I'm tired of drinking your flowing color tea. I'm looking forward to immortal Sheng Liu's drunken flowers. I heard that this tea was created when he fell in love with you at first sight and was inspired to create it. I wonder if we're fated to have a taste today? I'm ashamed. Sheng Liu rubbed his nose and smiled bitterly. My drunken flowers is just a small doodle. It's not very elegant. Fairy Tian Lu also covered her mouth and chuckled. Sai Liu, you want to embarrass my Liu Lang, that won't do. Only I can drink drunken flowers, outsiders can forget about it. As she said this, her brows were filled with pride and charm. The Jiyu immortal beside her, Sheng Liu, was looking at Fairy Tian Lu with deep emotions. The two were already holding hands under the stone table. Qiao Sai Liu sighed faintly. Sigh, I wonder when will I meet someone who can create a unique tea for me? She softly muttered, feeling perplexed and confused. At this moment, the moonlight was like water, shining into the pavilion. The beauty under the moonlight sighed softly. It was truly a pitiful sight. Luo Muzi and Lun Fei immediately felt warmth in their hearts. Luo Muzi immediately stood up. Fairy Sai Liu, I have a cup of tea called 9 Recollections Fragrance. It is my original creation. On such a beautiful occasion, I will offer it to you. Lun Fei was not willing to fall behind. He also said, I also have preparations. This is yin-yang tea. Yin and yang are clearly separated. Please have a taste, Fairy. These two Jiyu immortals only offered tea to Qiao Sai Liu, just like how Qiao Sai Liu offered tea to Fang Yuan earlier. Qiao Sai Liu took a sip and smiled. 9 Recollections Fragrance's name is appropriate. When the tea enters the throat, the fragrance lingers on the tongue. Carefully tasting it, there are actually 9 times when the fragrance is concentrated. It is very peculiar. Haha, I don't deserve your praise. Luo Muzi laughed heartily. He swept away his previous dejection and laughed very happily. Qiao Sai Liu then said to Lun Fei, yin-yang tea, although it is not an original creation, but Sai Liu heard that there are 3 levels to this tea. The first layer was a mass of chaos, where yin and yang were mixed up. The second level was the distinction between yin and yang. On the third level, there was yang within yin, and yin within yang. Yin and yang circulated. Lun Fei was able to refine this tea to the second layer. It can be seen that there are less than 10 people who can do this in the whole of southern border, worthy of a food path Jiyu immortal. The tea, wine, and delicacies in this world were naturally not ordinary. There were all kinds of strange ways to make tea. Making tea was not as simple and shallow as pouring boiling water into a cup filled with tea leaves. Like the tea that the immortals were talking about, willow spiral tea, bewitching tea, intoxicated flowers, 9 return fragrance, yin-yang tea, they could all be seen as incomplete Jiyu recipes. And after this Jiyu recipe is completed, when the Jiyu immortal makes tea, they can refine food path Jiyu worms. Food path was one of the many paths in the present age, but it had never been popular. Although it was very important and needed to be the foundation of prosperity, unfortunately, because of historical reasons, the inheritances left in the world were very few. This Lun Fei is actually a Jiyu immortal who cultivates food path? Fang Yuan sized up Lun Fei with a glance, feeling somewhat surprised. What is this Lun Fei's origin? I have many immortal Jiyu on me. If I can obtain his food path inheritance, it might be of great help to me. Fang Yuan immediately had malicious intentions. The tiger harms the human heart, and the tiger harms the human heart. Fang Yuan was a little moved. His current strength had already reached one of the top below rank 8. After he activated the countercurrent protection seal, although his offensive power was still slightly weaker, he was already able to keep pace with Feng Ju Ge. I will first investigate Lun Fei's background and see if I can make a move. If I really make a move, Wu Yihai's identity cannot be implicated. With Wu Yihai's identity, Fang Yuan could not openly kill Lun Fei. Because he was a righteous path Jiyu immortal, he could not do demonic things. The strength of a superpower was much stronger than that of a loose immortal. But these forces usually would not easily offend any Jiyu immortal. Wu Clan was the same. A superforce had a lot of assets. If a Jiyu immortal could not be killed and could roam around, destroying the superforce's resources, it would be a huge headache for the superforce. In the matter of Mount Snail, Wu Yong had accepted Fang Yuan's suggestion and made some concessions to mountain-moving old monster. This was also because of this consideration. I should first inquire about the value of Lun Fei's inheritance. If the value is not high, then forget it. If the value is high, I have to be careful and not let his soul self-destruct when I make a move. There was no need to think about immortal Jiyu, it was absolutely impossible to obtain. But Fang Yuan could assassinate Lun Fei and capture his soul. then obtain the food path inheritance through soul-searching methods. Fang Yuan had always been looking forward to the food path inheritance. Unfortunately, he did not have enough fortuitous encounters. There was nothing he could do. Since there was no fortuitous encounter, then he had to do it himself and snatch others' inheritance. Fang Yuan did not feel any guilt. Many GU immortals paid particular attention to not offending others if they did not offend them. Fang Yuan was a human. Even if he did not offend him, he would still want criminals. I have made this cup of tea for 7 days and 7 nights. It is all worth it to be able to obtain fairy's praise. Lun Fei's tone was slightly trembling, his face showing excitement. Next, his gaze drifted towards Fang Yuan and said with a provocative tone, "I wonder what tea Lord Wu Yihai has to show me." He did not know that Fang Yuan was already planning to murder him. Eastern Sea is the richest in the 5 regions. Wu Yihai has lived in Eastern Sea for many years. If you take out 1 or 2 cups of tea, you will definitely surpass others and obtain first place. Luo Muzi sat down again, brimming with enthusiasm. Fang Yuan smiled. These two were Qiao Sai Liu's pursuers. After realizing Fang Yuan's strength, they had already tacitly allied to make things difficult for Fang Yuan. Their words of praise were elevating Fang Yuan's status, making it hard for him to deal with them. Qiao Sai Liu frowned slightly. Luo Muzi and Lun Fei's intentions were somewhat sinister. If Wu Yihai could not take it out, it would be awkward. If he could, his reputation would not be good. Why? Because this moon appreciation gathering was hosted by Qiao Sai Liu. Qiao Clan's bewitching tea was the host. The tea of other GU immortals was the guest. The guest should not oppress the host. This was the unwritten rule of the moon appreciation gathering. Qiao Clan might not care if the guest bullied the host, but Wu Yihai's reputation would be damaged. Those in the righteous path cared about their reputation. Fang Yuan, however, did not hesitate. He took out 5 cups of tea and gestured, "Everyone, please drink." Fairy Tianlu's eyes brightened. She was the first to raise her cup. "I am very curious, what is Lord Wu Yihai's tea like?" But the first person to drink the tea was not her, but Lun Fei. He was somewhat eager. This was the best chance to strike down his love rival. As a food path GU immortal, how could he not make use of this opportunity? But after drinking a mouthful, he immediately frowned and spat it out. Pa, what kind of lousy tea is this? Disgusting, too disgusting. Luo Muzi also drank a mouthful, directly putting down the cup. "This is the most disgusting tea I have ever drunk in my life. It might even be worse than mortal tea." He spoke very impolitely. He could not be polite to a love rival. The two tightly grasped the opportunity to greatly embarrass Fang Yuan. Fairy Tianlu wanted to help, but after drinking it, she smiled helplessly at the tea. "This tea is salty, like seawater." Fang Yuan smiled lightly, actually admitting, "This is seawater." "What? You actually took out seawater? What do you think of Fairy Sai Liu?" Luo Muzi and Lun Fei made things difficult for him. The smile on Fang Yuan's face disappeared, becoming solemn. "I do not like drinking tea. If we count it, then this seawater is my tea." "You are not clear. I was cultivating in seclusion in Eastern Sea, all alone. The pressure of calamities and tribulations shrouded my heart at all times. To guard against laziness, I would drink a bowl of salty seawater every morning to warn myself, to persevere and not slack off in the slightest." The pavilion was immediately silent. Qiao Sai Liu slowly raised her cup in silence, drinking a mouthful before putting it down again. She smiled, revealing her red lips and white teeth. For a moment, even the beautiful moonlight paled in comparison. "This is the most special tea I have ever drunk in my life. Thank you, Yihai. This tea is very good, it makes my heart move." Luo Muzi and Lun Fei were speechless at their sweetheart's attitude. Chapter 1325. What the hell, are you kidding me? My 9 recollection fragrance can't even compare to a cup of seawater. Luo Muzi roared in his heart, but maintained his elegance on the surface. Damn it. This Wu Yihai is so cunning. We are offering tea, but he is offering seawater. His skin is really thick. But Fairy Sai Liu actually approves of him. This is too infuriating. too infuriating. Lun Fei's fists under the table were clenched so tightly his veins were bulging. Fairy Tian Lu quickly mediated. The moon is high in the sky, the tea has already been drunk, but there is no poem, it is not beautiful. Fang Yuan pretended to be puzzled. Are we really going to recite a poem? He was completely unprepared, as if he was hearing it for the first time. Luo Muzi and Lun Fei's eyes immediately brightened. This was another chance. Another great chance to strike down their rival in love. Last time, I was fooled by you and got away with it. This time, I will definitely knock your limelight down, and then ruthlessly step on it a few times. Luo Muzi's mind was filled with this thought, but on the surface, he was smiling and elegant. Lun Fei was the same, having similar thoughts. But they did not know who Fang Yuan was. Competing in poems? Heavens! This was worse than showing off in front of an expert. Fang Yuan came from Earth, he had a lot of ancient poems, there was no lack of excellent works that were recorded in history, and there were even great works that shocked the ancients and dazzled the contemporaries. He could casually toss out a copy, and the two of them would have no face left. We are indeed going to recite a poem, there is a reason behind it. Qiao Sai Liu replied to Fang Yuan. Oh, I would like to hear the details. Fang Yuan followed up. This is a story that has been passed down in southern border, and is also the origin of the Moon Festival. Qiao Sai Liu started to speak. A long time ago, in a certain village in southern border, a mortal lad fell in love with a Jiu master's daughter, and this Jiu master's daughter similarly fell in love with this mortal lad. The lad mustered his courage to propose, but was rejected by the Jiu master. You are only a mortal, while my daughter is a Jiu master with a bright future, how can you be worthy of my daughter? Get lost. The young man begged, but the old Jiu master sneered, you want my daughter to marry you, you are dreaming. A mere mortal like you can't even brew a cup of tea? What use do you have? The young man replied, isn't it just a cup of tea? What's so difficult about it? If I do it, will you marry your daughter to me? The old Jiu master felt a headache. He knew that his daughter loved the young man in front of him very much. If he forcefully separated them, his daughter would hate him as her father. The old Jiu master said, if you can make a cup of tea that satisfies me, I will give you a chance. The young man was overjoyed and quickly agreed, sir, I can definitely do it. The Jiu master daughter heard this and was very worried. My family has been famous for tea for generations, but you want to make a tea that satisfies my father? You are only a mortal without the abilities of a Jiu master, how can you make a good cup of tea? The young man said, don't worry. Who said mortals couldn't make tea? Let me tell you 3 things. First, big fish eat small fish eat shrimps. Thus, the young man came to the stream and caught a big fish. He cut open the fish's stomach and took out the small fish. He then cut open the small fish's stomach and took out the small shrimps. Second, humans need to eat and also shit. Thus, the young man ate the small shrimps and took out a pile of feces. Third, feces can make flowers and plants flourish. Thus, the young man buried the feces in the soil, and sure enough, the flowers and plants flourished and grew taller. The young man picked out a type of flower and soaked it in the stream, turning the entire stream into tea. The old Jiu master drank a mouthful of this tea and was speechless for a long time. His daughter called out, Father, you aren't going back on your word, are you? The old Jiu master reluctantly nodded, Young man, you passed the first round. But you are a mortal, it is impossible for you to marry my daughter. You are too crude and have no talent, you cannot recite poems. The young man scratched his head, troubled, although I have never recited poems before, I can try. The old Jiu master scoffed, with just you. The young man retorted, why can't I? The old Jiu master said, young man, you are not just casually saying a few sentences and reciting poems. Us Jiu masters recite poems that can change the color of heaven and earth and make people dance. Can you do it? The young man said in a muffled voice, how will I know if I don't try? All right, then try, don't say I didn't give you a chance. If you fail, get lost and never see my daughter again. The old Jiu master said. The young man had no choice but to agree. He started to walk around, wanting to recite poems. But he had never recited poems before, so he had no clue. At this time, he saw the ants on the ground, and the birds and the setting sun outside the window, and suddenly patted his head. He called out, "Swallows fly low and snakes cross the path, ants move house and the rain arrives." Southern border had a lot of rain, and it was currently spring. The young man had just finished speaking when rain started to fall from the sky. The old GU master's expression changed. The young man continued, "A drop of spring rain is a drop of oil. We will be worried if it rains a few more times." The rain outside the house got heavier, and the sky became gloomy, no longer as bright as before. The old GU master's expression turned ugly. The young man scratched his head and cheeks. "When the elm money turns yellow, I'm busy farming. When the willow hair falls off, I'm randomly sowing rice." At this point, the young man was stuck. He only lacked the last sentence, but he couldn't say it no matter what. "I'll give you one last bit of time," the old GU master sneered. The young man's eyes immediately brightened, and he pointed at the old GU master, saying, "Old master, you collected 10,000 buckets of grain, but we are still suffering from famine." The old GU master immediately jumped in anger, standing up and knocking the teacup in his hand away. Then he pointed at the young man and shouted, "You are just a mortal, you have such gut." But his daughter laughed and clapped. "Great, this poem changed the color of heaven and earth, and made you dance in joy." The old GU master saw his daughter standing on her lover's side, and was furious, but he couldn't retort. "Good, good, good, you passed the second round, there is still the last round. You want to marry my daughter, where is the betrothal gift? Can you give me a satisfactory betrothal gift?" The young man lowered his head dejectedly. He lived in a thatched hut, slept in straw sandals, and only had a set of patched clothes. "I am willing to use all my assets as the betrothal gift." The young man was very serious. "Take it out for me to see," the old GU master said. The young man led the old GU master to his residence, that old and broken thatched hut. The young man said to the old GU master, "These are all my assets. With this broken hut full of holes," the old GU master pointed, showing disdain. "With this yellow straw mat that is about to break in half." The old GU master threw the straw mat away. "With these broken stones that were used as stools." The old GU master fiercely kicked the stone, breaking it. The young man lowered his head. With every sentence the old GU master said, the young man lowered his head even more. By the time the old GU master finished his 3 sentences, the young man's head was almost touching his chest. But right at this time, from the rock that was kicked by the old GU master, a GU worm that looked like a moon flew out shakily, shining brightly and extremely beautiful. The old GU master was stupefied. The young man was also stupefied. This stone was randomly picked up from the foot of the mountain. The old GU master's daughter shouted happily, "This GU worm is definitely enough, it will be the betrothal gift." The old GU master could not retort, he could not say anything. In the end he could only pinch his nose and marry his daughter to this mortal young man. Fang Yuan had heard of this story long ago, but it was indeed interesting. The whole story described a battle between a mortal and a GU master, and it ended with the mortal's victory. The young man charged through 3 obstacles, and finally won the beauty, a female GU master. The old GU master actually did not use any martial strength from start to finish. This was not logical, but it showed the mortal's yearning for a better life, and the pursuit of happiness. The young man's image was worth investigating and analyzing. Regardless of whether it was the 3 principles or the poem he recited, they were all easy to understand, very simple, and even crude. But these were the summaries of the mortal's daily labor experience. Especially that poem, although the rhyme was not harmonious, it indirectly revealed the truth of the GU master's exploitation of mortals. Old master collected 10,000 buckets of grain, but we are still suffering from famine. GU masters were high above, while mortals worked like cows and horses. So in the hearts of mortals, they had the desire to fight with GU masters. But GU masters were too strong. How could mortals defeat GU masters? So in the story, in the final 3rd obstacle, the mortal young man's key to victory was actually a broken stone. A GU worm appeared in the stone. This was rock dissection. Rock dissection was a popular activity in the southern border. More accurately speaking, among the 5 regions, southern border was number 1 in rock dissection, because there were many mountains in the southern border, and it had abundant natural resources. The mortal young man used rock dissection to defeat the old Gu master. Although this stone was picked up by him, he relied more on luck. This also showed the weakness and helplessness of mortals. From their point of view, Gu masters were too strong, they could not defeat Gu masters. If they could win, it would definitely be due to great luck. This folk tale had mortals as the main characters, and was very likely created by mortals. Because of this, it received strong resonance from mortals, and was widely spread in the relatively isolated southern border, not inferior to the legends of Ren Zhu. But in the other 4 regions, its spread was limited, and few people knew about it. Because of this story, the Moon Festival was gradually formed in the southern border. On this day, be it mortals, Gu masters, or even Gu immortals, they would come to admire the moon, taste tea, recite poems, and dissect rocks, to celebrate this festival together. Note: wow, this chapter took a long time to write, and expended a lot of brain cells. I am in a good mood tonight. I am quite satisfied with this chapter, because I have been working hard to create a different and complete world. What do you think? Chapter 1326. Good poem, good poem. Fairy Tian Lu smiled tenderly, especially the last line, under the moonlight flowers dream of a beautiful woman, truly beautiful. I think it must be referring to me, he. She purposely jested, and the atmosphere in the pavilion suddenly eased up. Lun Fei helplessly smiled bitterly and sat back down. Everyone, please don't laugh at me, it's just a little clumsy work, it's hard to enter the grand hall. Daoist Lun Fei is too humble, I also have a poem. Luo Muzi said. Oh. We are all ears. Qiao Sai Liu smiled and looked at Luo Muzi expectantly. Luo Muzi was silent for a moment before he spoke. A place to ascend the mountain in search of immortality. Every step was dangerous. The floating dust is like a stream of light. Dark Gu was hidden in the heart groove. The golden jade was like a dream. 10,000 years of regret and loneliness. 5 regions 9 heavens technique. All in one breath. Once this 5-word poem was spoken, the atmosphere and concept made all of the Gu immortals present slightly moved. He savored it carefully. Ascending the mountain to seek immortals, it referred to Gu immortals' cultivation. Gu immortals cultivated and had to deal with calamities and tribulations, they needed to develop their immortal aperture. It was like climbing a mountain. Every step was filled with difficulties and obstacles. The floating dust was like a stream of light, which meant that the river of time flowed by. He was in the mortal world, and there was floating dust on his body, and his body was like floating dust. Dark Gu hides in the heart groove. This was referring to Gu immortals storing immortal Gu and mortal Gu in their immortal aperture. But the Gu immortals present all had a deep foundation in literature. They could tell that this sentence had a deeper meaning. Dark Gu meant darkness, frustration, failure, compromise, disappointment, and all sorts of other emotions. Mortals all say that immortals are good, but they don't know that immortals suffer. Look at the lives of all living things in the world. Who can truly be free and unfettered? When Gu immortals cultivate, they are under huge pressure. It is unavoidable for them to have all sorts of negative emotions. Even immortal venerables and demon venerables are the same. The path of ascending the mountain to seek immortality is fraught with danger. The floating dust is like a stream of light, the dark Gu is hidden in the heart groove. These 2 sentences were simple but had deep meaning, they resonated strongly with the Gu immortals. After that, gold and jade are like a dream. 10,000 years of regret and loneliness referred to gold and jade, but they were nothingness. All kinds of wealth were like a dream. After a long time, love and hate had all dissipated. It revealed the transcendent state of mind of a poet who looked indifferently at the wind and clouds, untainted by the mortal world. The last sentence, the 5 regions and 9 heavens technique, all in one breath, was very imposing. It swept away the gloominess of the previous words, and the atmosphere was majestic. There were also a few other layers of meaning. As long as a person lived in this world, they would only have one breath left. Once he breathed his last, he would die. Humans lived to fight for their honor. If a GU Immortal's cultivation could compare to heaven and earth, to become an outstanding talent in the 5 regions and 9 heavens, it was all because of their hard work. The whole poem was first restrained and then uplifted. It was a magnificent scene that made one's heart tremble. For a moment, the immortals in the pavilion were silent, silently savoring the poem. Qiao Sai Liu thought to herself, this is strange. Based on my understanding of Luo Muzi, how could he compose such poems with his temperament? Perhaps it was someone else's masterpiece that had been appropriated by him. He didn't say he did it himself. She looked at Luo Muzi. On the surface, Luo Muzi looked as stable as a pine tree. He sat upright and drank his tea quietly, but the smile on his face betrayed his inner feelings. Qiao Sai Liu smiled to herself but did not expose him. She turned around and looked at Fang Yuan, who was beside her. Fang Yuan's expression was a little strange. This is the 5 words Qi Ju poem? How can this be? Isn't demon immortal Qi Ju's grotto heaven supposed to appear after the 5 regions' chaotic war, when dream realms appear everywhere? Strange. 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 Demon immortal Qi Ju was a great expert of the olden antiquity era. He was a rank 8 GU immortal with extremely strong battle strength. He had once fought with limitless demon Venerable 3 times. He won 1, drew 1, and lost 1. Of course, in the first 2 battles, limitless demon Venerable did not advance to rank 9. But in the last battle, limitless demon Venerable surpassed demon immortal Qi Ju with rank 9 power. But both sides still fought for 9 days and 9 nights before the latter lost. Limitless demon Venerable did not kill demon immortal Qi Ju, he let him go. Limitless demon Venerable said this, "You are my greatest enemy, but without you, I would not have fought so hard. For me to have my current cultivation, you have also contributed to it." To be able to gain such recognition from a demon Venerable, demon immortal Qi Ju's name would go down in history. After he died, he left behind a grotto heaven that had existed until now. In the 500 years of Fang Yuan's previous life, the 5 regions' chaotic war caused dream realms to appear, regional walls melted and the 5 regions became one. Such a huge change caused the heaven and earth qi to surge violently. Many blessed lands and grotto heavens that were hidden everywhere in the world were shaken to the point of showing themselves. They could be seen by everyone. Demon immortal Qi Ju's Qi Ju grotto heaven was revealed to the world under such circumstances. Undeniably, its appearance caused a huge commotion in the 5 regions. That shouldn't be the case. Logically speaking, this 5 words Qi Ju poem should be carved on the Qi Death obelisk in Qi Ju grotto heaven. How did this Luo Muzi know about it in advance? Don't tell me he has already entered Qi Ju grotto heaven? At once, Fang Yuan's mind was in a mess. Qi Ju grotto heaven contained a demonic immortal's true inheritance. What level was this demonic immortal at? He was clearly on the same level as sword immortal Bo Qing. Even Heifan was weaker than him. If I can obtain this true inheritance, kill this Luo Muzi and obtain Qi Ju's true inheritance. Thick killing intent rose in Fang Yuan's mind again. Luo Muzi did not know Fang Yuan's thoughts. He looked at Fang Yuan with a provocative gaze. I wonder what works friend Wu Yihai has. We are all looking forward to it. That is a must. Lun Fei immediately spoke. Lord Wu Yihai has an extraordinary background. He has rich experiences. Eastern Sea is even richer in resources. I cannot compare to Wu Yihai's knowledge. These two praised Fang Yuan highly. Their words were beautiful, but their thoughts were filled with malicious intent. Qiao Sai Liu was well aware of this. She did not defend Fang Yuan at this moment. She stared at Fang Yuan without blinking, encouraging him. I also want to hear your poem, Yihai. I believe it will be extraordinary. That's right, that's right. Fairy Tian Lu quickly followed. At once, Fang Yuan was mocked. He rubbed his nose and smiled bitterly. You all think too highly of me. I don't have any poems. I don't even know how to compose them. Wu Yihai is too humble. Too humble. Luo Muzi laughed loudly. Fang Yuan shrugged. I am speaking the truth. The truth is, I did not know there was a need to compose poems while admiring the moon. Even so, Lord Wu Yihai, why don't you compose a poem now? I am sure it will be a profound one. It doesn't matter if it takes a long time, we are all willing to wait. Lun Fei said, not giving Fang Yuan any chance to back down. Fang Yuan heaved a deep sigh. He naturally had many poems in his mind. Many of the poems on Earth had been passed down for thousands of years. Those famous sayings could be casually copied to fit the scene. It was enough to resolve the difficulties of these GU immortals. But, so what? Fang Yuan's gaze swept through the surroundings. Luo Muzi and Lun Fei were in love with Qiao Sai Liu. They naturally disliked Fang Yuan. They had a tacit understanding and worked together to push him away. What was there to compete with these ordinary people? Fairy Tianlu was Qiao Sai Liu's best friend. She was a good helper. She did her best to help Qiao Sai Liu. As for her Dao companion, he did not speak much. He was silent most of the time, quietly drinking tea at the side. This was his wisdom. As for Qiao Sai Liu, this fairy had both beauty and family background. She was known as one of the 3 great fairies of southern border. She naturally had her own pride. Although Qiao clan had ordered her to get close to Fang Yuan, she had her own methods. She had put in a lot of effort in hosting this moon-admiring gathering today. Not only did she consider details like seating, she even brought her best friend to help, and even more ingeniously, she invited Lun Fei and Luo Muzi to participate. When 2 men competed against each other, even a sow would feel good. Only when one of them won and the other was completely eliminated, the victorious man would look at the sow and realize, oh, so this is a sow. These words were a bit exaggerated, but the logic was the same. When a competitor appeared, it would make the girl being pursued seem more precious, more worthy to be cherished. Qiao Sai Liu was well aware of this. With such a setup, she wanted to draw out Fang Yuan's thoughts, turning from passive to active. As long as Fang Yuan took the initiative to pursue, Qiao Sai Liu would be able to deal with him and draw out Fang Yuan. If it was the real Wu Yihai, he might have already fallen into this beautiful fairy's trap. Unfortunately, she was facing Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan had not been moved, because he knew the relationship between Wu clan and Qiao clan, and the schemes of Qiao clan's higher-ups. Occupying this point, Fang Yuan was in a commanding position, stable as a mountain. Luo Muzi and Lun Fei were just 2 clowns. When Fang Yuan sized up the GU immortals in the pavilion, the GU immortals' gazes were also focused on him. The pavilion was silent. This silence was undoubtedly a form of pressure. Luo Muzi and Lun Fei want to deal with me and make things difficult for me. Qiao Sai Liu also wants to force me to accept the challenge. Maybe she also feels some anger and humiliation. After all, the seawater tea from before was a form of disrespect towards such a beauty. As for Fairy Tianlu, she is completely on Qiao Sai Liu's side. There is nothing to worry about. Fang Yuan's thoughts moved. He laughed inwardly and said, then I will play a song, don't laugh at me. I am all ears to listen to friend's masterpiece. We are all looking forward to it. Luo Muzi and Lun Fei were full of smiles. But at the next moment, the immortals heard Fang Yuan recite, O great sea, you are full of water. O steed, you have 4 legs. O beauty, you have big eyes and a mouth. The poem ended. The whole place was silent. The other GU immortals' expressions froze. Even Qiao Sai Liu and Fairy Tianlu were no exception. This, what the hell? Is this a poem? This is simply nonsense. Boorish man, this Wu Yihai is a complete boorish man. What is this? Admiring the moon and reciting poems, such an elegant scene, the atmosphere has been completely destroyed. The GU immortals' thoughts seemed to be connected, they were all roaring in their minds. Fang Yuan smiled and looked at Qiao Sai Liu. I wonder if Fairy Qiao is satisfied. Satisfied my ass. You still have the nerve to ask such a question? Your skin is really thick. Luo Muzi and Lun Fei roared in their hearts, but due to their demeanor, they did not show it on the surface. The pavilion was still silent. Hair. Qiao Sai Liu laughed, it sounded very forced. This poem is really special, to speak the truth, I have never heard such a poem. As expected of Yihai's creation, now that I think about it carefully, It has a special sense of humor, I can't stop thinking about it. Luo Muzi, Lun Fei. Chapter 1327. Luo Muzi and Lun Fei were speechless. They really wanted to criticize Fang Yuan, but Qiao Sai Liu gave such an evaluation. If they criticized him again, wouldn't that make Qiao Sai Liu look bad? Luo Muzi and Lun Fei felt like they had swallowed a fly. It was very uncomfortable, but they had no way to vent. Fang Yuan looked around and laughed in his heart. Qiao Sai Liu forced a smile. Fairy Tian Lu looked at Qiao Sai Liu with concern, her gaze seemed to be filled with sympathy. How could Fairy Tian Lu not know Qiao Sai Liu's plan as her best friend? But Fang Yuan didn't fall for it, making her gnash her teeth in hatred, but there was nothing she could do. As for Luo Muzi and Lun Fei, their expressions were stiff, it was simply laughable. Fang Yuan looked at the two. How is it? My poem is not bad, right? Not bad. Luo Muzi and Lun Fei's eyes widened as they looked at Fang Yuan, as if wanting to see how shameless this person was. But immediately after, the two heard Fang Yuan say, although it was just a flash of inspiration, for things like essays and poems, they seem to be created like this. Sai Liu really approves of my poem, but I still want to hear your appreciation of it. Appreciation? Can this thing of yours even be called a poem? What appreciation? Sai Liu, why are you calling her so intimately? You bastard, hey! Who told you to call her so intimately? Luo Muzi and Lun Fei screamed and roared in their hearts. But on the surface, they couldn't do anything. They had to evaluate and say good things, following Qiao Sai Liu's words, only then would they not embarrass Fairy Sai Liu. This was even more uncomfortable than eating a fly. They were clearly rivals in love, and it was a lousy poem that couldn't even be considered a poem. But Luo Muzi and Lun Fei still had to think of ways to appreciate it and say good things about it. This poem, is easy to understand, and catchy. Luo Muzi stuttered. His expression became uglier and uglier, he felt like he was about to vomit. Fang Yuan smiled and nodded, then asked Lun Fei, what do you think, immortal Lun Fei? Lun Fei stared straight at Fang Yuan, the corners of his mouth curling up into a smile, but it seemed to be twitching. Then, he said dryly, this is a good poem. Fang Yuan raised his eyebrows. How could he let this person go so easily? He continued to ask, what's good about it? Lun Fei was enraged, his face flushed red with anger as he roared in his heart, how would I know what's good about it? Which part of it was good? You wrote your own poem, yet you still want to praise yourself. You bastard. Seeing Fang Yuan's smiling face, a strong impulse rose in Lun Fei's heart. He picked up the cup in his hand and smashed it fiercely on Fang Yuan's face. This was the best way to vent one's anger, but he couldn't. Qiao Sai Liu was sitting right in front of him. If Lun Fei were to do this, what would happen to Fairy Sai Liu? Wasn't this directly humiliating the fairy? Moreover, he, Lun Fei, was not Luo Muzi, he was a lone immortal. In contrast, Wu Yihai had a noble status, he was the younger brother of Wu clan's Wu Yong. Lun Fei could only suppress the anger in his heart. He racked his brains and tried to think of some words to appreciate Fang Yuan's poem. Today's moon viewing is really a joyous occasion, I didn't think I had the talent to compose poems. Fang Yuan smiled at Qiao Sai Liu with a profound gaze. Qiao Sai Liu's heart shook slightly, then she smiled, next is to open the stones. Yihai, you might have a great harvest. Yes. I am also looking forward to this segment the most, let's open the stones. Fairy Tian Lu quickly helped to change the topic. I have prepared a large portion of stones for everyone to choose from. Everyone, please. Qiao Sai Liu naturally came prepared. She had Qiao clan behind her. With this super force, it was naturally not a difficult matter to collect some stones. The atmosphere in the pavilion eased up by a lot. Luo Muzi and Lun Fei also let out a sigh of relief, at least they did not have to praise Fang Yuan's lousy poem against their will. The stones Qiao Sai Liu prepared were of different sizes. GU immortals chose them in order and opened them on the spot to see if there were GU worms inside. Mortal GU were very easy to obtain for GU immortals. Thus, The atmosphere was relaxed, unlike GU masters who treated rock opening seriously. Of course, this was only mortal GU. If immortal GU were involved, then rock opening would also attract the attention of GU immortals. GU immortals had many methods to check if there were mortal GU inside the stones. But in today's round, everyone naturally would not use any methods to cheat, they would only rely on their own insight and luck. As for the stones with immortal GU inside, they could only be found by chance. GU immortals had very few investigative methods and were helpless. Wanting to open an immortal GU in tonight's rock was a fantasy, it was unrealistic. Nobody had such extravagant hopes, it was really just entertainment. But this entertainment, to Luo Muzi and Lun Fei, had a different meaning than usual. They were secretly competing with Fang Yuan, but the result almost made them vomit blood. Fang Yuan's rock opening result was at the top of the list, maintaining it from the start until the end. Rock opening was a test of a GU master's insight. Fang Yuan was not lacking in this aspect, he had even opened a rock gambling shop in his previous life. As for luck, could Fang Yuan's luck be bad? Not to mention sharing his luck with other people with strong luck, he even had luck immortal GU to help him. But although Fang Yuan won, the process was rather thrilling. Although he maintained his advantage, it was not obvious at times. The one who gave him a strong impact was Luo Muzi. This person was not a lone immortal, but came from one of the super forces of southern border, Luo clan. His insight was very sharp, and most importantly, his luck was also good. The result was only slightly inferior to Fang Yuan. It seems his luck is really good. Otherwise, he would not know about the 5 words Qiju poem, right? Fang Yuan pondered in his heart. It was not difficult for him to move Lun Fei, but he had some misgivings about Luo Muzi because of Luo clan behind him. Of course, no matter how he killed him, Wu Yihai's identity could not be implicated. By the time the moon appreciation banquet ended, it was already late at night. Everyone said their goodbyes, and the scene was lively and cheerful. I'll send you off. Qiao Sai Liu took the initiative to send Fang Yuan off. Luo Muzi and Lun Fei's eyes turned red. Let's go. Luo Muzi and Lun Fei were originally competitors and did not like each other, but after this matter, they instead reached a tacit understanding. The 4 GU immortals left the pavilion one after another, leaving behind Fairy Tianlu and her immortal companion. Sigh. Fairy Tianlu sighed, this moon appreciation banquet is really tiring. It can't be helped. Her immortal companion also sighed, his gaze clear. The two held hands and looked at each other, smiling as they stepped on the clouds and left. This Wu Yihai is a complete boorish fellow. What did he make? That thing can also be called a poem? Luo Muzi was flustered and exasperated. But Fairy Sai Liu actually treats him favorably. Lun Fei gritted his teeth. Mitch, what favorably? His greatest value is his identity. Luo Muzi's tone was somewhat sour. Lun Fei's expression was malevolent. I can't swallow this. No, I can't let Wu Yihai live so carefreely like this. Along the way, Luo Muzi and Lun Fei conversed intensely. Oh, do you have any good ideas? Although Wu clan is facing difficulties from all sides, Wu Yong might not be aggressive enough, but he still has the ability to defend himself. If you want to make a move against Wu Yihai, you have to consider Wu clan. Be it public or private, Wu Yong will stand behind Wu Yihai. You have to control the scale of this. Luo Muzi reminded. He was a righteous path GU immortal, he understood the difficulty of this. If the scale was too low, it would be hard to harm Wu Yihai. But if the scale was too high, it would cause Wu clan to retaliate. Who could bear that? Lun Fei inwardly curled his lips, thinking, righteous path GU immortals are troublesome, they have to worry about this and that. In contrast, demonic path GU immortals act straightforwardly. But Lun Fei was not a demonic path GU immortal, he was a lone cultivator, he was more inclined towards the righteous path. Lun Fei chuckled, a sinister light flashing in his eyes. We don't need to act personally. Fairy Sai Liu has many pursuers, how can there be only the 2 of us? When we told that person, he was very angry because Fairy Sai Liu did not invite him this time. You are talking about that person from BA clan? Luo Muzi's expression became somewhat complex. This Gu immortal from Kai clan was Qiao Sai Liu's greatest pursuer. Before tonight, Luo Muzi was extremely disgusted with him. But now, he wanted to borrow his strength to teach Wu Yihai a lesson. Although Wu Yihai defeated Xia Fei Kuai, it was only because he knew his enemy well. If his battle strength was strong, why would he need to negotiate with that mountain-moving old monster? Wouldn't it be better if he directly took back Mount Snail? That person from Kai clan's battle strength definitely surpasses Wu Yihai. Moreover, he can't bear to see others having any designs on Fairy Sai Liu. Lun Fei continued. Luo Muzi's gaze became resolute. All right, let's inform Kai Shong about today's matters. Qiao Sai Liu sent Fang Yuan off for over 10 li before she reluctantly parted with Fang Yuan. But she did not directly return to Qiao clan's headquarters, instead returning to the pavilion. In the pavilion, there was already a Gu immortal sitting on a stone bench, quietly tasting bewitchment tea. This person was Qiao clan's first supreme elder. He was the crucial person who had helped Fang Yuan return to Wu clan. Qiao clan's first supreme elder slowly put down his cup. Although Wu Yihai grew up in Eastern Sea, he is Wu Duxiu's son after all. What do you think? Qiao Sai Liu's gaze dimmed slightly as she said softly, yes. Fang Yuan deliberately made things difficult for Luo Muzi and Lun Fei, forcing them to praise his poem, but his intention was actually to suppress Qiao Sai Liu from afar. Qiao Sai Liu was well aware that this was a confrontation of the righteous path. They were chatting and laughing on the surface, but undercurrents were surging underneath. Qiao clan's first supreme elder sighed, all along, although our Qiao clan has been attached to Wu clan, we have never come into contact with the core. Wu Yihai is an opportunity for the whole of Qiao clan, do you understand? Chapter 1328. The Moon Festival passed, but Fang Yuan was still roaming around outside. He took the initiative to get close to Qiao Sai Liu, although the latter was angry at his disrespect during the Moon Festival. Due to the clan's orders, she could not reject Fang Yuan. Gradually, rumors started to spread. Wu clan's Wu Yihai and Qiao clan's Qiao Sai Liu were very close. They often went sightseeing. Be it Wu Yong's brother Wu Yihai or Qiao Sai Liu, one of the 3 great fairies of Southern Border, they were undeniably famous people in Southern Border's Gu immortal world. Their behavior soon formed some rumors and slanders. Qiao Sai Liu's pursuers were indignant, but they had to admit that Wu Yihai was a very strong competitor. Ignoring everything else, just looking at the relationship between Wu clan and Qiao clan, Wu Yihai had a huge advantage. This made Fang Yuan feel somewhat helpless. He did not want to be famous. Wu Yihai's identity should be as low profile as possible. Unfortunately, things did not go as he wished. This time, with the help of Qiao Sai Liu, Fang Yuan once again became famous in Southern Border's Gu immortal world. This situation soon affected Fang Yuan. The number of times he was deduced by others was decreasing earlier, but now it was increasing again, and very frequently. Just relying on Dark Limit Immortal Gu was very difficult to deal with this situation. Fang Yuan often placed his aperture and hid in sovereign blessed land. The immortal aperture was a world of its own, isolated from the outside world. As long as Fang Yuan did not leak any crucial clues and was grasped by others, deductions would be very difficult. Unless one had a clue like Connect Luck, it would be very difficult to deduce his exact location or other information. Thankfully, Fang Yuan himself had to place his aperture and absorb heaven and earth qi from time to time. With the addition of Reverse Flow River, the expenditure of heaven and earth qi was huge. Other than placing his aperture, Fang Yuan dealt with Qiao Sai Liu while using Wu clan's channels to obtain information about Luo Muzi and Lun Fei. Now was not the time to make a move. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated. Gu immortals had countless methods. They were extremely mysterious. Sometimes, a little carelessness could lead to unexpected failure. For example, Fang Yuan could resist the attack of a rank 8 Gu immortal using Reverse Flow River. Before the Battle of the Great Snow Mountain, who could have imagined such an outcome? Fang Yuan had a cautious temperament. Even if he wanted to harm Luo Muzi and Lun Fei's lives, he still had to fully understand their information before starting to formulate a targeted plan. Once there was a good opportunity, he would suddenly attack and kill in one strike. This way, the risk would be minimal, and it would be most in line with his interests. Even a lion would use its full strength to capture a rabbit, not to mention that Lun Fei and Luo Muzi were able to enter Qiao Sai Liu's eyes. Their own strengths were not bad. Another half a month passed. On this day, Wu Yong summoned Fang Yuan. "Little brother, I have a few missions here. You can choose one of them." Wu Yong went straight to the point. "Elder brother, please speak. It is my duty to contribute to the family." Fang Yuan calmly replied. An information path mortal GU flew out of Wu Yong's sleeve. Fang Yuan took a look and saw that this GU had 3 contents. The first item was related to Xianming Mountain. Recently, someone had discovered that there seemed to be the aura of a wild immortal GU in the depths of Xianming Mountain. This news had already attracted many lone cultivator GU immortals. More importantly, a super force, Yang Clan, had also sent their men. If the situation was true, obtaining an immortal GU was a joyous matter that could increase the foundation of any super force. Wu Clan naturally did not want to miss this opportunity. Right now, Wu Clan's situation was neither good nor bad. Under Wu Yong's leadership, they had already stabilized their footing. More importantly, Xianming Mountain was near Wu Clan's territory. Although it was not Wu Clan's territory, it was bordering Wu Clan. If Wu Clan did not send GU immortals this time, other super forces might feel that Wu Clan was weak. Thus, in this mission, Wu Yong had specially instructed, even if they could not seize the wild immortal GU, they had to destroy it and not leave it to Yang Clan. The second matter was that Red Dragon River's water level had been rising sharply recently. If it was not controlled, there was a high possibility of a flood disaster. Once the flood spread, it would pose a huge threat to all living beings along the way. It would cause a decrease in resources and even change the surrounding environment. The super forces along Red Dragon River paid great attention to it. Qiao Clan and Wu Clan's territories also bordered Red Dragon River. Thus, they had to send GU immortals to monitor and try to control it to prevent a huge flood disaster. The third matter was Yi Clan's second Supreme Elder's 1200th birthday. They were holding a birthday banquet. Wu Clan needed to send a GU immortal to represent Wu Clan to attend the banquet and deliver Wu Clan's gift. Yi Clan had immense strength. This clan's headquarters was Lingyi Mountain. This mountain was located in the northeast of southern border. It was closest to Eastern Sea. As a matter of fact, the Yi family and East Ocean were closely connected. As for Wu Clan, it was located in the southwest region of southern border. Although it was not at the southwest corner, it was the southernmost of all the super forces. Yi Clan and Wu Clan had such a relationship, it ensured that the two clans maintained a good relationship. Befriending the distant and attacking the nearby, this was one of the most basic principles of the political diplomacy of super forces. Even when many clans made things difficult for Wu Clan, Yi Clan had never participated. To maintain this relationship, Wu Clan had to send a GU immortal to attend Yi Clan's Supreme Elder's birthday banquet. "How is it? Have you made up your mind?" After a while, Wu Yong asked. Fang Yuan nodded. "I have thought about it. I will choose the second matter. My battle strength is not high. If I choose Xianming Mountain, I might have to fight with Yang Clan's GU immortals. Yang Clan specializes in soul path. I am not proficient in dealing with this path. Then why not choose the third matter?" Wu Yong smiled. "Actually, your identity is most suitable for this task. Because you are Wu Yong's younger brother, you will definitely receive a warm welcome at Yi Clan." Fang Yuan shook his head, smiling bitterly. "Brother, please spare me. Even though it is a birthday banquet, there will definitely be representatives of other super forces. With Wu Clan's current situation, if I attend the banquet, I will definitely be troubled by the GU immortals of other forces. By then, I will be outnumbered. It is fine if I am embarrassed, but the problem is that I will lose the clan's face. That would be a huge crime." Wu Yong laughed heartily. "Brother, you have thought of this. It is your fault. Let's do this then. If brother has nothing else, I will take my leave." "Go, go." Wu Yong waved his hand. Fang Yuan turned around. When he was about to walk out of the hall, Wu Yong asked, "Oh, right, when are you leaving?" Fang Yuan turned around and stood near the door. "If Red Dragon River floods, countless lives will be lost. This is a huge matter, I cannot be careless. I will go back and pack up, I will set off later." "Good, I am relieved that you know this. I will leave this matter to you, you will definitely handle it well." Wu Yong seemed to trust Fang Yuan a lot. "I will do my best," Fang Yuan promised solemnly before turning around and leaving. But he did not see that after he left, the smile and trust on Wu Yong's face disappeared. What replaced it was a gloomy look on his face. The matter is about to succeed. Fang Yuan was overjoyed internally, but he did not show it on the surface. Just like what he said to Wu Yong, after packing his things, he would leave for the north. He flew rapidly, but just as he flew past Yellow Dragon River, Gu Immortal Wu Fa called out, "Lord Wu Yi Hai, wait, I have a new task from First Supreme Elder." Fang Yuan laughed internally, he came after all. On the surface, he had a surprised expression. He stopped in the air and asked Wu Fa, who was flying over, "Elder Wu Fa, why did you call me?" Sigh. Wu Fa sighed deeply, his old face was full of worry. When it rains, it pours. Something happened to the Super GU formation. BA clan and my clan are in trouble. Elder Wu Bei, who is guarding there, is already injured. He cannot continue to control the situation. "Lord, didn't you want to transfer him back? The chance is here. Because of this, the First Supreme Elder has decided to swap you with Elder Wu Bei, so that Elder Wu Bei can come back to recuperate from his injuries. Lord Wu Yi Hai, you will be guarding the Super GU formation." Fang Yuan frowned deeply, he was caught off guard. "How can this be? He said as he subconsciously looked towards the northwest, saying hesitantly, "But Red Dragon River's problem is also very serious, it needs to be resolved urgently. First Supreme Elder has already made arrangements for this matter, Lord Wu Yi Hai does not need to worry about it. My lord, you'd better hurry up and leave. You're needed there urgently. This is a letter GU from Lord Wu Yong, you can go to Yi Tian Mountain directly, there is no need to return to Wu Clan." Wu Fa said as he stuffed an information path mortal GU into Fang Yuan's hands. Fang Yuan received the letter GU and checked it with his consciousness. The content of this letter GU was naturally in Wu Yong's tone. He said how serious the situation in the giant dream realm was and Fang Yuan needed to leave immediately, he could not waste any time. Fang Yuan heaved a deep sigh. "In that case, I can only go." "Go quickly, Lord Wu Yi Hai." Elder Wu Fa had an anxious expression. Fang Yuan shook his head, looking towards the northwest before changing his direction and flying towards the northeast. Elder Wu Fa sent Fang Yuan off with his gaze until he disappeared into the horizon. Elder Wu Fa sneered, also looking towards the northwest. Although they knew there was a mountain in the northwest, Great Peng Mountain, it was Chao Clan's headquarters. Elder Wu Fa returned to Wu Clan's Wu Yi Mountain and reported to Wu Yong, "First Supreme Elder, the matter has been settled, Lord Wu Yi Hai has already gone to the Super GU formation." Wu Yong was in the study room, he stood up and waved his ink, writing on a piece of white paper. Hearing Wu Fa's words, he nodded slightly. What a great deal. On the white paper, there were 5 words, "Can be borrowed, unreliable." A long time ago, when I was still a youngster, Mother asked me what I thought about the Chao family, and I replied with those 5 words. I remember it very clearly, and Mother smiled on the spot. At this point, Wu Yong sighed. It's a pity that my brother doesn't quite understand this. Chapter 1329. Genius 1 second. Remember if you want to go. TalkNet, providing you with exciting novels to read. Southern border, Yitian Mountain ruins, inside the Super GU formation. Wu En, Wu Liao, greets Wu Yi Hai. Inside the Super GU formation, Wu Clan's GU immortals Wu Liao and Wu En respectfully greeted Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan nodded. Sit down, tell me, what is going on? Elder Wu Bei was actually so heavily injured. Wu Liao and Wu En looked at each other. Wu Liao kept quiet as Wu En, who was good with words, reported, Lord, it is like this. As it turned out, BA clan had been itching to make a move against Wu clan. After Wu clan faced many difficulties, BA clan's GU immortal leader, old treeman BA De, felt that the time was right and attacked Wu clan. BA De had already planned for a long time. It was fine if he did not make a move, but once he made a move, Wu clan was in a passive position. Wu clan naturally could not sit still and wait for death. Wu Bei made a move, but was tricked by BA De and had no choice but to spar with BA De. The result was naturally BA clan's victory and Wu clan's defeat. But we did not expect Lord Wu Bei's injuries to be so severe. During the spar, the victor was decided. Even though Lord Wu Bei lost, he still had an intimidating demeanor. That's right, even though he lost to BA De, Lord Wu Bei still had a secret discussion with Chao clan and other clans' GU immortals. We all thought his injuries were not serious. After Wu An finished, Wu Liao added a few more sentences. Fang Yuan laughed inwardly, but on the surface, he said with concern, I understand the situation. Since Wu Bei is gone, I will take his place. Everything will be as before. If the enemy does not make a move, I will not make a move. Yes, Lord. Wu Liao and Wu An immediately responded. They were not surprised by this order. From an outsider's perspective, how could Wu Yihai's battle strength compare to BA De? Even though Wu Yihai had been in the limelight recently, his victory over Xia Fei Kuai was only a spar, and the rules were set by him. Even though he settled the dispute on Mount Snail, he did not use force during the whole process, but negotiated with mountain-moving old monster. Finally, the scandal with Qiao Sai Liu was even more lustful. It would not make people respect him. If there's nothing else, you can all leave. I rushed all the way here, so I'm a little tired. Fang Yuan waved his hand. Wu Liao immediately took his leave, but Wu An hesitated and whispered, Sir, there is something I need to report, then tell me. Fang Yuan already knew what Wu An wanted to report. As expected, Wu An's following words were not out of Fang Yuan's expectations. It was about the Wu clan leading the other clans to make use of the Dreamland to do business with the loose immortals. Right now, the situation is very tense, and the other families are also uneasy. Should we temporarily stop this business? Wu An asked worriedly. Fang Yuan pondered for a moment and said, Don't worry. I've already said that everything will go on as usual. If there's nothing else, you can leave. Yes, my lord. A look of joy flashed across Wu An's face as he bowed and retreated. As long as this Dreamland business continued, Wu An would be able to profit from it. How could he not be happy? Even if things went bad and the business was exposed by the BA clan, Wu An's responsibility would still be very small. This was because his immediate superior, Fang Yuan, had once said that the business would go on as usual. Fang Yuan naturally knew Wu An's thoughts like the back of his hand. He sneered in his heart, this Wu An is short-sighted. It was true that the Wu clan's situation was not very good, but they were still the #1 clan in southern border. BA De was indeed smart. Although he had made a move, he did not make a move on this Dreamland business. This was very appropriate because this profit was not solely enjoyed by the Wu clan, but by the other clans. If he made a move on this aspect, it would instead incite the other clans to unite against a common enemy and ally with the Wu clan. The reason why he did not make a move on this was because he had a clear understanding of the entire southern border's situation. Although this was a big deal, if he made a move now, the effect would not be good. If there came a day when the Wu clan's reputation really fell, then when he made a move, it would definitely be like a wall being pushed by everyone. BA De was very clear on this point, and so was Fang Yuan. The world was like a game of chess. A good chess player would always plan before making a move. They would know when to use which chess moves and which chess pieces would be the most effective. Love goes small say net. Therefore, the dreamscape business only needed to continue. The real deciding factor of whether BA De would take action or not was not the business itself, but the Wu clan. Things in the world were often mysterious like this. For many things, the deciding factor was not the matter itself, but something outside of the matter. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan subconsciously looked towards Wu clan. Wu Yong, even though he was a rank 8 GU immortal, he still fell for Fang Yuan's scheme. Because this was not a competition of cultivation level or battle strength, It was a competition of experience and methods. The reason why Fang Yuan got close to Qiao Sai Liu was naturally not because of Qiao Sai Liu herself, but because of something else. That was to return to the giant dream realm. Wu Yong could tolerate Wu Yihai's greed, but he was wary of Wu Yihai fighting for power with him. This was natural. The seed had been planted long before Wu Duxiu passed away. Before Wu Duxiu died, she had left behind her last words. She wanted to give her immortal Jiyu to Wu Yihai. Wu Yihai's bloodline was already recognized. Once he grasped a portion of power, he would definitely be a huge threat to Wu Yong's governance. Just like how when Wu Duxiu was in power, she was wary of Qiao clan and guarded against them. Within Wu clan, Wu Yong had to be wary of two people. One was Qiao clan, the other was Wu Yihai. Right now, these two were very close to each other, as if they were going to work together. How could Wu Yong not be wary? Earlier, when Wu Yihai joined Wu clan, Qiao clan sent out a spy. It was actually Wu clan's third supreme elder. Many people who understood the situation were already breaking out in cold sweat. How could Wu Yong not be wary? Right now, Wu Yihai and Qiao clan seemed to be working together. How could Wu Yong not make a move? Wu Yong was also very powerful. He did not directly ask Fang Yuan if he wanted to return to the giant dream realm. He gave Fang Yuan three choices: Xianming Mountain, Red Dragon River, and Yi Clan's birthday banquet. Behind these three choices, there was naturally a deeper meaning. The first task, Xianming Mountain, was definitely the most intense one. It involved wild immortal Jiyu. There would definitely be conflicts. If Fang Yuan chose this, he would be loyal to Wu clan. He would not be afraid of danger. Wu Yong would have great use for him in the future. The third task, Yi Clan's birthday banquet, was a test. Yi Clan had a close relationship with Eastern Sea. If Fang Yuan chose this, it meant that he still had some attachment towards Eastern Sea. The second task, preventing Red Dragon River's flood, was a trap. Wu clan and Qiao clan both had territories that bordered Red Dragon River. If Wu clan wanted to prevent a flood, Qiao clan would do the same. This way, they would have a chance to cooperate with Qiao clan's Jiyu immortals. When Fang Yuan chose this task, Wu Yong's heart turned cold. Even though he was joking back then, he had already made up his mind to send Wu Yihai away as soon as possible. He could not give him any more time to interact with Qiao clan. Qiao Sai Liu was one of the three great fairies of southern border. She was shockingly beautiful and could seduce people's souls. Even if Wu Yihai was not moved for now, what would happen after a long time? Even heroes had a weakness for beauties, not to mention a fairy like Qiao Sai Liu. Furthermore, other than beauty, there were also immense benefits. Once Wu Yihai and Qiao Sai Liu got together, it would be very beneficial to him and Qiao clan. Wu Yihai could use Qiao clan's relatives to greatly increase his authority in Wu clan. And Qiao clan would finally break through history, breaking their previous limits. With a son-in-law like Wu Yihai, Qiao clan would truly be able to penetrate deep into the heart of the tree that was Wu clan. How could Wu Yong make such a mistake? And to cut off the connection between the two and forcefully break it up was not feasible. It might even backfire. Moreover, the righteous path had to follow the rules. They could not do as they pleased like the demonic path. After Wu Yong thought about it, he found it hard to deal with Wu Yihai. Even though he had evidence of Wu Yihai's corruption, Wu Yihai was still his younger brother. After thinking about it, Wu Yihai thought of the giant dream realm. He could use this dream realm to exile Wu Yihai for as long as possible, just like how Wu Yihai stayed in the Jiyu formation. Wasn't it peaceful? His previous success made Wu Yong make up his mind. After he made up his mind, he immediately put it into action. Even though he gave Fang Yuan three choices, from start to finish, he did not give Fang Yuan the right to choose. He was only probing. The righteous path is like this. If you don't become the one at the top, you will not have freedom. But even if you become the one at the top, the entire organization will become your shackles instead. Fang Yuan sighed inwardly. Soon, he sorted out his thoughts and focused on the current dream realm. He had returned to a familiar place. Here, there were two immortal Jiyu that belonged to him. But the dream realm was still expanding. It was circulating endlessly. This dream realm is not bad. It is a dream realm formed from true memories and experiences. It is not an absurd imagination. Soon, Fang Yuan finished his inspection and entered a dream realm that was flickering with blue light. His vision changed. On a hill, a middle-aged Jiyu immortal had his back facing Fang Yuan. "My son, do you know what our two clan used to dominate this mountain range?" Fang Yuan inspected himself. He had turned into a child. "Father, I don't know." He thought about it before replying. "Formation path." The middle-aged Jiyu immortal suddenly raised his voice. He had an intense pride in it. "Formation path?" Fang Yuan muttered. "That's right. It is formation path." The middle-aged Jiyu immortal turned around, revealing his old face and firm eyes. He had the aura of someone at the top. Looking at all the paths, formation path is the most complicated path. "My son, from today onwards, I will impart you the essence of formation path and guide your cultivation." The middle-aged Jiyu immortal had a fervent gaze. "Yes, father, I will learn well." Fang Yuan replied. The middle-aged Jiyu immortal shook his head. "Not just learn well, you have to succeed and become the best, surpass all your peers, even those young Jiyu masters. Because you are my, Tu Shi Cheng's, son, because you will be the future master of the stronghold." Chapter 1330. Tu Shi Cheng? I have never heard of it. Fang Yuan thought to himself. The boy Fang Yuan was acting as, since his father's surname was Tu, his surname was naturally Tu as well. Being able to leave behind a dream realm meant that he had some skill in formation path. But there was no formation path great expert with the surname Tu in the history of Jiyu masters. Fang Yuan tried to recall but did not find anything. Of course, his knowledge could not cover the entire history of Jiyu masters. Maybe this was the dream of a great expert who had concealed his identity in history. "Come, sit beside me." The middle-aged Jiyu immortal Tu Shi Cheng sat on the ground and patted the soil beside him. Fang Yuan quickly walked to his side and sat down cross-legged. "My son, do you know how many Jiyu master paths there are in this world?" Tu Shi Cheng asked with a warm smile. Fang Yuan thought about it. There were many Jiyu master paths, but overall, they were becoming more and more prosperous. For example, when Jiyu masters had just risen, space path and time path were the main paths, then wisdom path, chi path, strength path, rule path and others appeared one after another. Now, there were fire path, water path, metal path, bone path, poison path and many more. 500 years later, dream path will rise again. Innovation will not stop. There will be more and more Jiyu immortal paths. Fang Yuan thought as he answered, "According to what I know, there are space path, time path, there are also chi path, wisdom path and others." Tu Shi Cheng nodded. "You are right, but it is not detailed. Let me tell you, during the immemorial antiquity era, during Renzu's era, there were space path and time path. These two paths researched and elaborated on the profundities of space and time. During the remote antiquity era, primordial origin immortal Venerable created chi path and enslavement path, star constellation immortal Venerable created wisdom path and star path, while our formation path was also created during the end of the remote antiquity era. But the true founder cannot be verified. Refinement path and fire path were also created during this era. In the ancient era, limitless demon Venerable created the rule Tao, reckless savage demon Venerable created the transformation Tao, strength Tao, wind Tao, light Tao, and dark Tao. During the medieval antiquity era, Genesis Lotus immortal Venerable created wood path, thieving heaven demon Venerable created theft path, giant sun immortal created luck path, metal path, water path, ice and snow path, cloud path, earth path, lightning path, information path, and sound path all appeared one after another. This was an era of innovation. In the modern era, the bone Tao has already been created, as well as the void Tao and the restriction Tao. Of course, these are the major paths of Jiyu masters. We will not talk about small paths like enchantment path or illusion path for now. When Fang Yuan heard this, he immediately understood. So the era in the dream is the near ancient era. Right now, spectral soul demon Venerable has not appeared yet, otherwise, Tu Shi Cheng would have mentioned it. Tu Shi Cheng continued, "My son, after explaining so much, I want to tell you that the formation path that we cultivate is one of the more ancient sects in history. It could not compare to space path and time path, but it was created in the same era as chi path and wisdom path. In terms of seniority, it appeared even earlier than transformation path. Saying so, Tu Shecheng asked again, transformation path uses one path to reflect 10,000 paths. My son, do you know the essence of formation path? Although Fang Yuan's attainment in formation path were extremely ordinary, this question was very simple and common, he still knew about it. Thus, he answered, formation path uses one path to reflect 10,000 paths. Haha, good answer. Tu Shecheng was not stingy with his praise, and continued to explain in detail, when we set up a GU formation in formation path, we might need to use space path or time path GU worms, or we might also need to set up metal path, wood path, fire path, or water path GU worms. Precisely because of this, formation path can be said to be the most complicated path among all the paths. It is not easy to set up a GU formation, because we might need to use GU worms of many other paths. Thus, to cultivate formation path, we need to have some understanding of other paths. Even if our understanding is not deep enough, we need to have a broad understanding of the GU worms we are using. Fang Yuan listened and nodded continuously. This was one of the difficulties of formation path cultivation. Actually, every path had its strengths and weaknesses. For example, enslavement path, although it could be nurtured, it could fight against many enemies. However, it consumed a lot of resources. Formation path cultivation and learning was a high threshold, because it involved GU worms of other paths. GU worms that belonged to formation path were only the foundation or framework of a GU formation, the other parts needed to be filled by large numbers of other GU worms. Precisely because of this, formation path cultivation was difficult to learn and hard to master. It was not easy to nurture a formation path expert. Firstly, there was a high requirement for resources, time, and knowledge, and secondly, the GU master's own talent and hard work were needed. Thus, in the GU immortal world, there were very few GU immortals who specialized in formation path. Of course, this rarity was relative, at least, there were many more formation path GU immortals than wisdom path GU immortals. This was also the reason why Fang Yuan did not dabble in formation path in the 500 years of his previous life. The threshold was high and it was hard to learn. My son, since you have become a GU master today, I will give you your first GU worm. At this time, Tu Shecheng slowly opened his palm, revealing a small GU worm in his palm. This GU resembled a ladybug, its shell was smooth and round, small like a thumb, and it had a yellow luster, giving off a cute aura. This is a formation heart GU, come, refine it first. Tu Shecheng said. With Tu Shecheng's help, Fang Yuan directly refined this rank 1 GU worm. Formation heart GU's shell opened, the thin cicada wings inside continuously flapped, flying up and down around its new master, Fang Yuan, happily. This GU worm was not precious, it could even be said to be very ordinary. Because it was one of the most basic formation-setting GU worms for formation path GU masters, it was widely used in the 5 regions. Alright, next, let's play a game. Tu Shecheng smiled, taking out 4 GU worms. They are all rank 1 GU, I will lend them to you temporarily. Come, use your formation heart GU as the main GU, and choose any of the GU worms here, combine them, and see if you can form a GU formation. Tu Shecheng said. Fang Yuan's brows slightly rose, looking at Tu Shecheng in astonishment. This was a joke. In the dream realm, this child had just become a GU master, and he wanted him to construct a GU formation on the same day? Although Fang Yuan had not truly cultivated formation path, he still had some superficial knowledge of formation path. For example, constructing a GU formation, normally speaking, it would take at least 2 to 3 months to start. After all, when one first becomes a GU master, it is strenuous to control a GU worm, everything is foreign. The calculation of prime val essence, nurturing the aperture, feeding GU worms and so on, these all require the GU master to adapt and become familiar with them. Now, in the dream, this Tu Shecheng actually wanted his son, a child who had just become a GU master, to construct a GU formation. I have to say, this kind of teaching method is really unique. Fortunately, this is a dream realm and I am in charge. If it were a normal child, how could they complete this task? Or could it be, because it was not completed, the obsession was left behind, forming this dream realm? Fang Yuan guessed as he considered the 4 GU worms he had. He actually did not recognize all of these 4 GU worms. Based on his experience, he only recognized 3 of them, and could not recognize the last one. It was a little awkward. But thinking about it, it was not strange. This dream era was the late antiquity era in history. Spectral soul demon Venerable had yet to appear in the world, thus, the time and environment were quite different from the present. Moreover, there were countless unique and mystical GU worms, there were many newly created GU worms, and there were also many secret inheritance GU that people were not familiar with. How could Fang Yuan have some understanding of all the GU worms? Although he could not recognize all of them, Fang Yuan could still understand the paths of these 4 GU worms. They were Earth Path, Water Path, Wind Path, and Fire Path. Fang Yuan was not clear about the Earth Path GU worm. To construct a GU formation, I need to understand these GU worms first. The formation heart GU is not important, but what use does this Earth Path GU have? Fang Yuan was planning to use this GU to experiment and see its effect. But immediately, his actions were stopped by Tu Shecheng. Tu Shecheng said with a solemn expression, "Use your heart to sense, listen to your inner thoughts, and act according to your feelings. Do what you feel can be used to construct the GU formation. Remember, you only have one chance." Fang Yuan was dumbfounded. Chapter 1331. Although this Tu Shecheng and the boy Fang Yuan was acting as were father and son, this father was completely unreliable. What did it mean to rely on intuition? Innate talent could not be displayed like this. After all, if the GU formation's construction failed, the GU worms would be destroyed, and the GU master themselves would suffer backlash. If one could rely on intuition to construct a GU formation, there would not be so few formation path GU immortals in any of the 5 regions' GU immortal worlds. Setting up a GU formation was a very meticulous matter. It was like deducing immortal GU recipes. Deducing and constructing a GU formation were the same. They needed a process and careful consideration, as well as continuous experimentation. But dream realms were like this. Fang Yuan calmed his thoughts and continued to ponder deeply. Facing this situation, it seemed like he really had to follow Tu Shecheng's instructions. What should he do? Fang Yuan thought about it and asked, "Do I need to use all of these 4 GU worms?" Of course not. But to set up a GU formation, you need to choose at least 2 of these 4 GU worms. Tu Shecheng replied, "I don't know about this Earth Path GU worm, I might as well give up on it." Fang Yuan continued to ponder. In this case, there were only 3 choices in front of him. Quickly, don't think too much, just rely on intuition. Fang Yuan thought for a long time. Tu Shecheng's expression sank as he urged, "I'll give you 3 breaths of time." 3 breaths of time? And there was only one chance. Wasn't this deliberately making things difficult for him? A thought flashed in Fang Yuan's mind. Should I use Unravel Dream? His current accumulation was incomparable to before. The last time he explored the giant dream realm, he had a limited number of dream path mortal GU. Unravel Dream could only be used a limited number of times. Fang Yuan had to save as much as he could. But now was different. Fang Yuan was very confident. Because he had captured many nightmare demonic cults, using these natural dream path immortal materials and his persistent refinement, he had many dream path mortal GU. Thus, the number of times he could use Unravel Dream was the highest in history. Precisely so, Fang Yuan had an unprecedented amount of confidence. Forget it. This was only the first level of the dream. Even if I failed, I could still continue exploring. Even though Unravel Dream can be used many times, it cannot be wasted like this. Fang Yuan thought about it and gave up on using Unravel Dream. He began to activate his GU worm. First was Formation Heart GU. This yellow ladybug had already been refined by him. As his true essence was consumed, it suddenly floated in front of Fang Yuan, motionless, flashing with a pale yellow radiance. Fire path, water path, wind path. Fang Yuan pondered for a moment. Since he had already given up on the earth path GU worm, there were only 3 choices left. He chose the rank 1 GU worm in the water path. The reason for this choice was very simple, because his fire path and wind path realms were very ordinary, but his water path was a grandmaster. The Guru realm was not a joke. The water path GU worm was also successfully activated. It was bathed in yellow light as it flew around the formation heart GU, moving up and down at times. Fire path, wind path. Fang Yuan chose wind path. The wind path GU worm joined in, and like the water path GU, it flew around the formation heart GU. It was just that the wind path GU worm was at the outer ring, while the water path GU worm was closer to the formation heart GU. Fang Yuan waited for a while. Of these 3 GU worms, one was hovering in the air, while the other 2 were flying around. They were still very stable. Although they did not form a true GU formation, the progress is good. Fang Yuan felt gratified. For example, setting up a GU formation was like building blocks. All kinds of GU worms were all kinds of strangely shaped building blocks. The GU master had to build these building blocks into the shape they wanted. These scattered building blocks would form into towers, buildings, and other shapes, displaying different effects that far surpassed the individual GU worms. Although Fang Yuan did not successfully build these building blocks into a shape, at least these 3 GU worms did not collapse when they worked together. This was a very good development. But his father, Tu Shecheng, had a trace of gloominess and disappointment in his eyes. Fang Yuan, who had been concentrating on setting up the GU formation, did not notice it. Now, I need to adjust it. Will the formation heart GU remain at the center? Can the positions of the water path GU and wind path GU be swapped? The water path is at the inner ring, and the wind path is at the outer ring. Can it be adjusted so that the water path is at the outer ring, and the wind path is at the inner ring? Or in other words, the water path GU worms and wind path GU worms can work together, and let the wind path GU worm revolve around the water path GU worm, and not around the formation heart GU? Fang Yuan pondered deeply, and immediately had all kinds of plans. But he had no idea what kind of results these plans could produce, or what effect they had. His formation path attainment was too low. Follow your intuition, don't hesitate. Tu Shecheng urged again, his expression showing some impatience. Fang Yuan gritted his teeth. In fact, even without his urging, Fang Yuan knew he had to act. There was no other reason. His Primeval essence was about to dry up. There was no helping it. In the dream realm, he had just become a GU master, and although his aptitude was a grade, activating 3 GU worms at the same time consumed a lot of Primeval essence. He did not have time to think. Then let's try it out. Fang Yuan gritted his teeth inwardly, activating the fire path GU worms and adding them to the newly constructed system. He did not make any adjustments to the foundation just now. Because he did not know what was the use of making adjustments, and did not know if there was a need to make adjustments. He was a pure beginner, he did not have any feelings, and all his attempts were blind. But my luck is good, maybe my luck is good, and I can run into a dead mouse this time? Fang Yuan still had some hope in his heart. But soon, his hope was dashed. The addition of the fire path GU worms immediately caused a chain reaction. The power of the fire path and the wind path GU worms interacted, and immediately increased in power. Shortly after, it collided with the water path GU worms in the inner ring, and as water and fire were incompatible, an explosion occurred. With a soft sound, the explosion was not intense, but it still caused Fang Yuan's face to turn black. His hair stood up, and white smoke rose in spirals. At the same time, the formation heart GU was directly destroyed, and the other 3 GU worms were injured to varying degrees. The water path and fire path GU worms were on the verge of death, and the wind path GU worm was also heavily injured. You failed. Tu Shecheng's expression immediately changed, turning frosty. You disappoint me. Puff. Fang Yuan's vision changed, and he was expelled out of the dream realm. The first exploration was declared a failure. His soul returned to his body, and his body shook slightly, and his healthy face suddenly turned pale. Fang Yuan immediately inspected his injuries, and found that the extent of his soul's injuries was beyond his expectations. But it did not matter. Guts Gu. Fang Yuan took out the Guts Gu and directly crushed it, and the injuries on his soul were greatly alleviated. Fang Yuan took out another one and used it on himself. In an instant, his soul's injuries were completely healed. The feeling of dizziness also disappeared without a trace. Because of the Guts Gu, Fang Yuan was not afraid of the soul's injuries from failing to explore the dream realm. Right now, I should be the #1 person in the world in exploring dream realms. Even the remnants of Shadow Sect cannot compare to me. Fang Yuan inwardly estimated. This was all because he had two powerful tools in his hands to explore dreams. The first was Guts Gu, it could heal soul injuries. The second was Unravel Dream. Once used, the effect would reach the answer of the riddle. It was unreasonably useful. Guts Gu was produced on Dang Hun Mountain, and Fang Yuan had placed Dang Hun Mountain in Lang Ya Blessed Land. Even the sale of Guts Gu was in cooperation with Lang Ya Sect. The Guts Gu trade was a monopoly, there were no other stores, and the supply had always been insufficient to meet the demand. Recently, Fang Yuan did not use Guts Gu to earn profits, and instead kept the portion of Guts Gu that belonged to him. There was only one goal, to make sufficient preparations for exploring dream realms. Thus, he kept a large number of Guts Gu, his foundation was very deep. Precisely because of this, he was in a tight financial situation, and had to expand the production of some resources to improve his finances. It did not matter if he failed the first time. With Guts Gu, Fang Yuan's soul immediately healed, and he could start the second exploration now. But he was not anxious, he activated Connecting Heaven Gu and sent his consciousness into it. He started to gather information. First was that Earth Path Mortal Gu. Fang Yuan did not recognize it, he needed to understand it. A copy of Encyclopedia of Earth Path Gu Worms, Fang Yuan quickly bought it from an Earth Path Gu Immortal. This was an information transaction, one of the transactions in Jewel Yellow Skies. Some were introductions and understandings of Gu worms and paths, some were the sale of current political matters, and there were also Time Path and Wisdom Path Gu Immortals deductions of the past, present, and future. Fang Yuan could also do this. With his 500 years of experience, the information he produced would definitely be very attractive. But this information was usually very cheap, and could not be sold for long, it would even weaken Fang Yuan's rebirth advantage, so Fang Yuan did not care about it. After buying this Encyclopedia of Earth Path Gu Worms written by a Gu Immortal, Fang Yuan was not satisfied, he bought some other similar information, and of course, some Formation Path Mortal inheritances. These cost him close to 10 Immortal Yuan stones. To Fang Yuan, it was like a drizzle. Chapter 1332. This Gu recipe had very little practical value. Because many of the Gu materials in the recipe had already gone extinct, they no longer existed in the world. If Fang Yuan wanted to refine this mortal Gu, he could only modify the Gu recipe. He naturally would not do such useless work. With this information, he had a deep understanding of this mortal Gu. Next, Fang Yuan read through those mortal inheritances of Formation Path. This strengthened his foundation in the Array Dao. Even though he had never researched Formation Path, in the 500 years of experience in his previous life, he had more or less learned about Formation Path, or through some coincidences. Thus, the extent of enrichment was not much, it was very limited. But this time, he had a targeted understanding of the test in the dream realm. He had a goal in collecting Formation Path information. From some information, he learned that in the late antiquity era, there was a popular trend of thought in Formation Path. This trend of thought was called Earth, Water, Wind, and Fire. It believed that these four basic elements could make a Gu formation extremely stable. They formed the most basic Gu formation, and had the strongest tolerance. Of course, this trend of thought was only popular for a while. Decades later, it was abandoned by people. Compared to the entire history of Formation Path, decades were too short. This trend of thought was like a small wave, vanishing in the surging river of history. It is like the origin of humanity. People on Earth once thought that humans were created by gods, be it China's Nuer or the West's God. This was a trend of thought. After dominating people's cognition for a long time, it was defeated by Darwin's theory of evolution. However, with the advancement of science, people have discovered that there are still flaws in Darwin's theory of evolution. Fang Yuan's thoughts wandered for a while. This trend of thought of earth, water, wind, and fire was the same. Because with the development of formation path, people discovered that the Gu formation formed by the four basic elements of earth, water, wind, and fire was not the Gu formation with the greatest tolerance. People continued to discover and deepen their understanding, they continued to improve. Even if it was abandoned soon after, it was still a form of progress. This information was very valuable, it gave Fang Yuan the correct answer to pass the first stage of the dream realm. So, to truly form a Gu formation, I need to use all the Gu worms and mix them together. Fang Yuan realized in his heart. At the same time, he sighed, this Tu Shecheng is really sinister. He clearly wants to use all 4 Gu worms and not leave out a single one, but he is still playing dumb, saying that at least 2 mortal Gu must be used. Next, Fang Yuan fell into deep thought. Because even if they knew the correct answer, it was still unknown how to make the 4 Gu worms revolve around the formation heart Gu and form an effective Gu formation. If these 4 mortal Gu could be refined, Fang Yuan could try to deduce it outside the dream realm and in reality. This was also the method those laymen used to break the dream realm in the early stage of the dream realm. But now, that Earth Path Gu worm was hard to refine, even if the Gu recipe was modified, would the Earth Path mortal Gu refined be the same as the one in the dream realm? After all, this was a dream realm. Sometimes, there were deviations between dream realms and reality, and was not a copy. Fang Yuan thought about it and decided to try it in the dream realm. The second attempt was the same as the first one. But this time, Fang Yuan chose to activate these 4 mortal Gu at the same time, matching the formation heart Gu. Failure. The 4 mortal Gu detonated at the same time, Fang Yuan was injured and kicked out of the dream realm. The third attempt, Fang Yuan chose the Earth Path Gu first, and the Water Path Gu second, but failed again. The fourth attempt, the fifth attempt, until the 7th attempt, Fang Yuan finally succeeded. Surrounding the formation heart Gu, the 4 mortal Gu flew around each other. The water path and fire path Gu flew in an oval shape, sometimes near and sometimes far away from the formation heart Gu. As for the earth path and wind path Gu, the former floated below the formation heart Gu, while the latter floated above it, both motionless. Under the control of the formation heart Gu, these 4 Gu worms formed a mystical force, constantly emitting a hazy rainbow light. Being in this light, the Gu master's prime val essence would recover at twice the speed. This is a very useful Gu formation for Gu masters. Fang Yuan evaluated in his heart. Ha ha ha, not bad, very good, as expected of my son, you really have talent in formation path. Tu Shecheng laughed heartily at Fang Yuan's success, showing a very happy expression. Fang Yuan, this world and hill slowly faded away in Fang Yuan's vision. The first stage of the dream realm passed, the second stage began. Fang Yuan let out a breath of turbid air. In the first stage, he did not use the killer move Unravel Dream, and in the end, he only used a dozen Guts Gu, the cost was still very low. Without carefully observing his formation path attainment and how much it had increased, Fang Yuan focused all his attention on what was in front of him. He found that he was in a cage right now. In the huge cage, there was a small cage. In this small cage, a pitch-black leopard was trapped. Its shriveled belly and hungry eyes showed how dangerous this leopard was. What's going on? Fang Yuan was puzzled. At this time, Tu Shecheng stood outside the cage and said to Fang Yuan, I will give you 10 minutes to arrange these Gu worms into a Gu formation. After 10 minutes, this leopard will regain its freedom. At that time, I will not make a move, it will depend on whether you can use your Gu formation to resist this leopard. What? Fang Yuan stared with wide eyes. This teaching method, hey, are you really a father? You are my son, you can definitely do it. If you can't, then you are not fit to be my son, Tu Shecheng said expressionlessly. What the hell? Fang Yuan grinned, looking at himself. He found that he had not grown much, about the same age as in the first stage, 14 at most. This Tu Shi Cheng seems to be a righteous path Gu immortal, but he is so ruthless. Or maybe this is just a threat to force his son to display his full potential. Fang Yuan guessed in his heart. Whoever became this Tu Shi Cheng's son is really unfortunate. Time was limited. Fang Yuan quickly calmed his mind and began to inspect the Gu worms in his hands. The leopard was only an ordinary fierce beast, but with just the body of a young man in his dream, he definitely could not resist it. He could only rely on the Gu formation to resist it. There were only 5 Gu worms, and they were still 5 rank 1 mortal Gu. One of them was a formation heart Gu, while the other 4 belonged to earth path, wind path, water path and fire path. It was not much different from the first stage. The difference was that although these 4 Gu worms belonged to the same path, the specific Gu worms were not the same. How should these Gu worms be combined to form a Gu formation? Fang Yuan began to experiment. With the precious experience of the first stage, Fang Yuan was very familiar with it. His first attempt quickly failed. Fang Yuan coughed out a mouthful of blood in the dream realm. The backlash was extremely severe. Fortunately, his Gu worms were not damaged. He was also not expelled from the dream realm. It seems that as long as the time limit is not up, I can continue to try. Although there is still a chance to continue, the truth is that the chances are slim. Fang Yuan frowned. After being injured, although the Gu worms were fine, his condition was not good, his primeval essence was limited, and he was injured. Fang Yuan soon found that because of his injuries, he was very unstable when he tried again. Although the Gu worms flew up, they were on the verge of falling. The second attempt also failed. Although there was still time, Fang Yuan could not continue trying, because one of his Gu worms had already died in the second failure. If it were those 4 mortal Gu from other sects, so be it, but Fang Yuan's formation heart Gu was destroyed. My Gu worm was destroyed. Father, can you give me a second formation heart Gu? Fang Yuan quickly asked. But the answer he got was Tu Shi Cheng shaking his head mercilessly. Put yourself in my shoes. If you were in a battle, who would give you a second replacement Gu worm? Son, you disappoint me, you no longer have a chance. Sure enough, once the time limit was up, the cage opened and the leopard pounced, biting Fang Yuan's throat. This dream realm was very realistic. Fang Yuan could clearly feel that his throat was bitten open, breathing became extremely difficult, his flesh was being torn off bit by the leopard's sharp teeth, the pain penetrated deep into his heart. Blood flowed freely from any of his wounds, the leopard drank it in satisfaction. Tu Shi Cheng slowly shook his head, sighing, "You are not fit to be my son." Then, he turned around and left. There is really no saving me. Is this Tu Shi Cheng from the righteous path or the demonic path? After being expelled from the dream realm, Fang Yuan's soul returned to his body, feeling depressed. After using Guts Gu to heal his injuries, he continued to explore. Second failure, third failure, fourth failure. Every time he failed, Fang Yuan would be killed by the leopard, once again experiencing the painful and miserable experience of being devoured by a fierce beast. If it was someone else, their mind might have already collapsed. But Fang Yuan had no fear. The pain he was suffering was already many times greater than this. He treated it as a light breeze, his mind still focused on how to construct the Gu formation. 10th failure, 11th, 12th. This second stage of the dream realm was much harder than the first stage. After Fang Yuan was expelled from the dream realm, his soul's injuries were even more severe than in the first stage. The first stage required 2 Guts Gu to recover, but the second stage required at least 3 Guts Gu, sometimes even 4. Fang Yuan calmly calculated the cost. At this rate, the cost is getting higher. Do I have to use the killer move Unravel Dream? Wait. While worrying, Fang Yuan had a flash of inspiration. He entered the dream realm and continued to try. Chapter 1333. A moment later, Fang Yuan successfully constructed a Gu formation in the dream realm for the second time. This Gu formation still used the formation heart Gu as the core, But the Earth Path GU worm was above the formation Heart GU, not moving. The other 3 GU worms, Fire Path and Wind Path, revolved around the Water Path GU worm. And the Water Path GU worm was below the formation Heart GU, jumping around in the range of a palm. These few GU worms formed a GU formation, emitting a hazy white light that enveloped the leopard. That's right. This GU formation was a trapping GU formation, targeting the leopard and not protecting the GU master. The construction process was not easy. The leopard was constantly jumping, affecting the construction of the GU formation. From time to time, Fang Yuan had to stop the construction and wait for the leopard to move away from a certain position. This was also why Tu Shecheng left a few minutes for Fang Yuan to try setting up the formation. Ha ha ha, not bad, you are worthy of being my son. Very good, then in the following period of time, you will continue to learn from me. In a month, there will be an even more severe test that concerns your life and death. If you cannot pass it, then die. Tu Shecheng laughed, his laughter somewhat deranged. Fang Yuan's small body stood in the cage, glancing at the struggling leopard in the GU formation, then at Tu Shecheng, sighing faintly. The second stage of this formation path dream realm could be considered past. Next was the third stage. Fang Yuan followed Tu Shecheng, standing beside a surging river. The river water flowed east, scarlet like blood. Fang Yuan immediately understood, this was Southern Border's Red Dragon River. Southern Border had 3 great rivers, Red Dragon River, Jade Dragon River and Yellow Dragon River. They were all enormous rivers that passed through Southern Border. Fang Yuan looked at this river and immediately had a bad feeling. Sure enough, he heard Tu Shecheng say, the GU worms have been lent to you, you have to rely on yourself now. If you cannot construct the GU formation, you should know the consequences. Fang Yuan was about to reply to buy some time, but the next moment, Tu Shecheng patted his back. A great power surged forth, and Fang Yuan was unable to resist it at all. He was immediately pushed into Red Dragon River. Fuck. Fang Yuan cursed in his heart as he sank into the surging river. He was immediately swept away, his body involuntarily drifting down with the river. Fang Yuan struggled with all his might. He only had the body of a teenager. Fortunately, he had inherited Fang Yuan's profound swimming ability. After struggling for a while, he popped his head out of the river and panted heavily. Making the best use of his time, Fang Yuan inspected the GU worms in his hands. I'll cross again. Soon, he cursed inwardly, because this time, it was not the 4 earth, water, fire, and wind mortal GU he had imagined, but 12 GU worms. How was he supposed to put them together in such a short time? There were too many ways to combine them, and in such a terrible environment, the chances were really slim. This time, Fang Yuan did not hesitate, he directly used Unravel Dream. Suddenly, an answer appeared in his mind. The first 3 steps of activating the GU worms and setting up the GU formation were clear to him. Only the first 3 steps. Fang Yuan had no choice but to continue using Unravel Dream. The 4th, 5th, and 6th steps appeared. The answer was accurate. But there was still a long way to go before the GU formation was completed. Fang Yuan was about to use it for the 3rd time when the river water changed. He was swept into a whirlpool. There was a dull thud. Fang Yuan crashed into a floating log in the fierce whirlpool. He knocked his head and fainted on the spot. At the next moment, Fang Yuan woke up and returned to reality. His soul was heavily injured, he was seeing stars. He quickly used Guts GU, 1, 2, 6 guts in a row before he recovered. The 3rd stage is even more difficult. The environment for setting up the formation has become so harsh. But, my formation path attainment level has already risen to Quasi-Master. After comprehending for a while, Fang Yuan slowly opened his eyes, a trace of joy flashing in his eyes. What was attainment level? Attainment level was the GU Master's unique way of thinking, feelings, and experiences, as well as their experiences in raising GU, using GU, refining GU, and so on. Summarizing and refining them into the essence, it was the understanding and comprehension of the great Tao of heaven and earth. Cultivation attainment levels were divided into ordinary, master, grandmaster, great grandmaster, and Supreme Grandmaster. Of course, there were also the minute levels of Quasi-Master, Quasi-Grandmaster, and Quasi-Great Grandmaster. Ordinary attainment level was a level that most GU masters could reach in their lifetime. Quasi-Master attainment level was already very rare. Young GU masters with outstanding talent or experienced GU masters who were old and experienced could often reach this level. Master attainment level was when the use of GU worms had reached an artistic level, breaking away from superficial craftsmanship. This was 1 in 10,000. For example, during the Imperial Court contest, there were only 5 enslavement pathmasters. They were Jiang Bao Ya, Yong Po Ying, Ma Zun, Chang Shan Yin, Fang Yuan, and En Yuer Tu. Of course, this was 1 in 10,000 for mortals. For rank 6 GU immortals, their main cultivation path usually had such attainment level. Quasi-Grandmaster attainment level was usually the elite among rank 6 GU immortals. Grandmaster attainment level was when one had a deep understanding of a path, they had a solid foundation and could comprehend other paths by analogy. Specifically, by using the GU worms of their main path, they could imitate the advantages of other paths. He Fan's True Inheritance had an immortal killer move called 100 Years Harmony. It was a classic example. It used time path GU worms to achieve the effect of information path. From this, it could be seen that He Fan's time path attainment level was at least at Grandmaster level. Normally speaking, GU immortals who could reach Grandmaster level were even rarer. They often needed hundreds of years of accumulation, and also required the GU immortal's talent and ability. In Fang Yuan's previous life, he only reached Grandmaster attainment level in Bloodpath in 500 years. Those who could reach Grandmaster attainment level were basically rank 7 GU immortals. Above Grandmaster were Quasi-Great Grandmasters. They were even rarer. They were usually rank 7 experts or rank 8s. As for Great Grandmaster attainment level, most rank 8 GU immortals could only reach this level for their entire lives. Quasi-Supreme Grandmaster. This was a character that only appeared once in thousands of years. Supreme Grandmasters were even rarer. For example, in the long history of refinement path, there were only 3 Supreme Grandmasters. One of them was a hairy man, long hair ancestor. Fang Yuan's formation path attainment level could not even be considered ordinary. But now, it had risen to Quasi-Master level. Most GU masters could not reach this level even if they worked hard for their entire lives. Fang Yuan had only used a few days to reach this level. He had explored 2 dream realms. This was the power of dream realms. They contained true meaning. Once a GU immortal successfully explored them, they would obtain the true meaning and directly raise their attainment level, deepening their understanding of a certain great Tao. Just 2 scenes and he could reach Quasi-Master level formation path attainment level. This dream realm is not simple. No wonder it is so difficult. However, I have never heard of Tu Shicheng before. This guy's education method was truly unique. Fang Yuan did not dare to compliment him. But the person he taught was the source of this dream realm. Evidently, this boy was an important person. Fang Yuan could clearly sense that he was only a small step away from formation path master level. As long as I complete the 3rd scene of the dream realm, my formation path attainment level will rise to master level. Fang Yuan excitedly licked his lips. Successfully exploring the dream realm raised his foundation. This increase was so huge that it allowed Fang Yuan to walk on a shocking shortcut. He could not stop even if he wanted to. However, since he had already left the dream realm, Fang Yuan was not in a hurry to go back in. He recalled the scenes of the 3rd scene of the dream realm, especially the GU worms that he had. He found that he only recognized 60% of them. Thus, Fang Yuan started to search for information and understand these GU worms. These were all mortal GU, it was just that many of them had gone extinct due to the passage of time. Fang Yuan soon found what he wanted. He understood these mortal GU very clearly. Next, he started to read through the mortal formation path inheritances that he had. The feeling of reading this time was completely different from the experience he had before. In the past, most of the things in the inheritances, Fang Yuan could only see the surface, but now, he could see the essence with just one glance. They were things that he had read before, but when Fang Yuan looked at them this time, he had new discoveries. This feeling was very mystical, it was as if he was suddenly enlightened. However, there were some parts that Fang Yuan could not completely understand. After all, it was only quasi-master level. Some outstanding mortal GU masters could reach master level. The inheritances that they left behind naturally had some parts that Fang Yuan could not understand. Fang Yuan was immersed in the profundity of formation path, allowing time to flow around him. If he was thirsty, he would drink some water, if he was hungry, he would eat some fruits. In his mind, thoughts were rising and falling like waves. This was him using wisdom path methods to help himself speed up his formation path learning. Undeniably, the content of formation path was very broad, it was related to all paths. Thus, it was extremely complex and could be said to be the most complex path. Only when Wuan asked to see him, did Fang Yuan regain his senses. Unknowingly, 8 days have passed. Fang Yuan was dazed for a moment before his gaze became clear. In his mind, the chaotic thoughts gradually calmed down. In these 10 days, Fang Yuan could be said to have forgotten to eat and sleep. Not only did his formation path attainment level rise, Fang Yuan also did not let go of all the basic content of formation path, he had a solid understanding of it. What is he doing here? Fang Yuan frowned impatiently. But he thought about it and decided to meet this Wu clan GU immortal. It turned out that Wuan had brought Lady White Rabbit here. Lady White Rabbit reported the situation of the Dream Realm business. She gave the detailed accounts to Fang Yuan for him to check. Even though Fang Yuan did not care about this business, he was the leader of the entire business. Chapter 1334. Fang Yuan took a rough look at the accounts and gained a deeper understanding of the forces around him. He sent Wuan and Lady White Rabbit away. "My lord, there is one thing that this subordinate does not know if he should say." Before leaving, Wuan wanted to say something but hesitated. "Speak." Fang Yuan was straightforward. Wuan reported to Fang Yuan that there were rumors that Kai Clan's GU immortal Kai Shong was coming to the Super GU formation to patrol. Fang Yuan understood Wuan's intention and waved him away. "Qiao Sai Liu has many pursuers, this Kai Shong is one of the most important ones. He has never come here to patrol, I am afraid he is here to find trouble with me. But Righteous Path GU immortals would not fight to the death, they would at most lose face. At most, I will give up my reputation and avoid the battle." Fang Yuan rubbed his chin, "But I need to prevent my secret from being exposed. After all, this Super GU formation was constructed by Kai Clan. Among Southern Border's super forces, Kai Clan is the #1 formation path force." Fang Yuan looked at the mortal formation path information. He could see through it at a glance, there were few things he could not understand. But when he looked at the Super GU formation that he was in, it was still the same, his vision was blurred, he was like an ant facing a vast galaxy. This Super GU formation was personally created by Kai Clan's first Supreme Elder, he was a formation path Great Grandmaster. Kai Shong came very quickly, it was out of everyone's expectations. A welcoming banquet was necessary. Because Kai Shong was representing Kai Clan, he had the responsibility of patrolling the Super GU formation and checking if there were any flaws in the defense. The banquet was lively on the surface, but there were turbulent undercurrents. Everyone knew that this was not Kai Shong's mission, but he took the initiative to do it. Kai Shong was pursuing Qiao Sai Liu, everyone in Southern Border knew about it, but in recent months, there were rumors that Wu Yihai and Qiao Sai Liu were very close. Kai Shong's objective was clear. Unfortunately, Fang Yuan did not join the banquet, he stayed inside the GU formation, exploring the Dream Realm. This caused many people to feel disappointed that they couldn't watch the show. Ba slowly put down his cup. "Nephew Kai Shong, I have already introduced you to all the GU immortals here, they are all outstanding talents. Unfortunately, there is still one person who hasn't arrived today. This person is even more extraordinary. He was born in the Eastern Sea, and then joined our Southern Border. Recently, he defeated Xia Feiguai and mountain-moving old monster one after another. He is the Wu clan's leader here." The GU immortals in the banquet had a thought, everyone knew who Bieda was talking about. Kai Shong was dressed in a white robe and had a handsome face. His eyes were deep and his nose was hooked like an eagle, giving him a bit of a sinister aura. He was already 160 years old. Old Treeman Bard was much older than him. The Kai family and the Ba family were connected by marriage, so Ba didn't call Kai Shong nephew carelessly. Kai Shong heard this and smiled. I have also heard of immortal friend Wu Yihai's name, it is like thunder in my ears. It was a pity that he couldn't meet her today. But I will be staying here for a long time, I need to inspect the GU formations here. I will definitely meet immortal friend Wu Yihai when the time comes. Kai Shong took the initiative. Everyone felt that Fang Yuan, who was hiding at the back, was much weaker than Kai Shong. After the banquet ended, Wu En and Wu Liao were indignant. They asked to see Fang Yuan. They did not have a good time during this banquet. They were mocked and mocked by others. They almost fought each other. Oh! In that case, I will hold a banquet here tomorrow and invite Kai Shong. Fang Yuan thought about it and said. Wu En and Wu Liao looked at each other. Their spirits were lifted as they left with Fang Yuan's orders. In the huge palace, only Fang Yuan was left. He walked towards the depths of the palace, looking at the dream realm. He had already explored most of this formation path dream realm. After using Unravel Dream, the third, fourth, and fifth scenes of this dream realm were all conquered by Fang Yuan. The main content of the dream realm was Tu Shecheng teaching his son formation path cultivation. His teaching method was extremely barbaric and harsh. He used life and death to stimulate the child's potential. Fang Yuan had been tricked many times, he could no longer complain about it. Unravel Dream was indeed very effective. These dream realms did not pose any obstruction to Fang Yuan. His formation path attainment level rose again. Not only did he reach master level, he even advanced to quasi-grandmaster level. But there is still a long way to go before I become a true formation path grandmaster. Fang Yuan had a clear understanding of this aspect. The further one progressed, the harder it was to raise attainment level. There are still remnants of this dream realm. According to the size, there are at least 2 more scenes. This Tu Shecheng's son is truly amazing. His formation path attainment level was definitely above grandmaster level when he was alive. But recently, Kai Shong has been visiting the GU formations. I should restrain myself and stop exploring the dream realm. After all, this super GU formation was created by Kai clan. Fang Yuan could not see through this super GU formation, he had to be careful. Fang Yuan knew that once the secret of his ability to explore dream realms was exposed, the impact would be huge. By then, not only would southern border be shaken, the other 4 regions might also mobilize their forces and attack him. Wu Yihai, you want to invite me to a banquet tomorrow? Kai Shong smiled as he looked at Wu and thank you, Wu Yihai, for your good intentions, but, forgive me, I have official business to attend to. After I inspect the Super GU formation, I will go to Wu clan to disturb you. Kai Shong smiled as he rejected Fang Yuan's invitation. Wu En was helpless. He returned to report to Fang Yuan with an expression of anger and humiliation. Kai Shong's actions were too much. Wu clan lost face. This made Wu Liao and Wu En feel indignant. The other clan's GU immortals covered their mouths and snickered. They were looking forward to a good show. Fang Yuan was calm from start to finish. He looked at Wu En and Wu Liao indifferently. In that case, let's wait. He did not look angry at all. But Wu En and Wu Liao were anxious. They felt like their faces had been ripped off by Kai Shong, but Fang Yuan was not anxious at all. They could only leave helplessly. Even though Fang Yuan did not continue exploring dream realms, he had many other things to do. For example, building coiling thread caves and producing large numbers of regretful spider GU. This was the Sovereign Immortal Aperture's second large-scale production resource. During this period of time, Fang Yuan had been making preparations. Everything was to create an environment suitable for ordinary spiders to evolve and grow into regretful spider GU. According to Dongfang tribe's method, to build coiling thread caves, they needed a GU formation, rank 6 immortal material, soft yin silk, and rank 7 immortal material, hate water rock. Fang Yuan had already collected most of the soft yin silk and hate water rocks. For this, he used a large amount of immortal yuan stone and some other immortal materials. Next was to set up the GU formation. Evidently, this was a GU formation that involved immortal materials. Normally speaking, this GU formation that used immortal materials could only be deduced and created by Grandmaster Formation Path GU Immortals. Great Grandmaster Formation Path GU Immortals could use the natural Tao marks of heaven and earth as the foundation to set up the GU formation. Before exploring the formation path dream realm, Fang Yuan looked at this GU formation like it was a heavenly book. But now, he had a clear understanding of it. After all, he had quasi-grandmaster attainment level. Moreover, Fang Yuan had some inspiration. Maybe I can modify this GU formation and add Perseverance Immortal GU. According to the principle of this GU formation, if Perseverance Immortal GU is added, the production of regretful spiders will increase by 3 times. This idea made Fang Yuan's heart jump. If he could achieve this goal, then the trade of regretful spiders would surpass dragonfish. The benefits it would bring to Fang Yuan would surpass the trade of guts GU. This seemed a bit exaggerated, but if he thought about it, it was true. After all, the production of guts GU was restricted by the quality and quantity of souls. Currently, Lang Ya sect was killing desolate beasts in Tai Chiu and using their souls as production resources to produce guts GU. On the other hand, they also imported some souls from Jewel Yellow Skies and the Northern Icy Plain as supplements. Most importantly, there was Western Desert Xiao Clan. No matter how many regretful spiders there were, this superforce would take them all. Regretful spiders did not need to worry about sales. Moreover, Fang Yuan had a cooperative relationship with Xiao Clan. Fang Yuan started to deduce. But soon, he ran into a problem. He could not set up a part of the GU formation. This was beyond his limits, no matter how many wisdom path methods he used to help himself. I am only a quasi-grandmaster. If I was a grandmaster, I would have the foundation to modify this GU formation. Fang Yuan understood. But even though I am not a formation path grandmaster, there is someone in front of me who has reached this level. This person was none other than Kai Shong. After rejecting Fang Yuan's invitation, Kai Shong started to inspect the super GU formation. The GU immortals guarding each area also welcomed Kai Shong. Kai Shong was purposely delaying the progress. Everyone knew that the longer he delayed, the more Wu clan's reputation would be damaged. Of course, Kai Shong was not hostile towards the Wu clan, but towards Wu Yihai. Love rival. Wu Yihai, you think too highly of yourself and look down on me. Do you think I'll run over just because you said you're inviting me to dinner? Me. Now, I will make you come and find me. Kai Shong had such a plan in his mind. But soon, he could not continue with this plan. Because Fang Yuan's letter of challenge was sent to him. In the letter, Fang Yuan said, I once toured the mountains and rivers with Fairy Sai Liu. She mentioned you. Fairy Sai Liu praised you as a formation path genius, but I, Wu Yihai, do not think so. I have a formation path problem here. Let's see if you can solve it. If you can, you win. If you can't, then you lose, and I'll inform Fairy Sai Liu of the result later. Kai Shong was furious. Wu Yihai, you could not hold back after all. But you want to use a formation path problem to make things difficult for me? You are a transformation path GU immortal. You want to use formation path to make things difficult for me? Who gave you the guts? Ah. Chapter 1335. Genius 1 second. Remember if you want to go. SpeakNet, providing you with exciting novels to read. Kai Shong felt that he was humiliated. Yes, humiliated. Who in Southern Border's GU immortal world did not know of Wu Yihai's identity? Everyone knew that he cultivated transformation path. But now, Fang Yuan did not use his specialty to make things difficult for Kai Shong. Instead, he chose Kai Shong's specialty. This was like saying, I am not using transformation path to make things difficult for you because you cannot compare to me. The disdain was clear in his words. He could not take it anymore. He could not take it anymore. Kai Shong stared with wide-opened eyes. He held Fang Yuan's information path GU worm in his hand as he gritted his teeth. I want to see what problem you came up with. Hey! He has some skill. It didn't take long for Kai Shong to reveal a wisp of a solemn expression. Fang Yuan's problem was a challenge to him. But soon, Kai Shong felt relieved. No wonder Wu Yihai is confident in making things difficult for me in formation path. This problem is a bit difficult. Did he come up with this problem? That should not be possible. He cultivates transformation path. It should be Wu clan's formation path GU immortals behind him, right? TMPH, with his identity as Wu Yong's brother, how could Wu clan's GU immortals not help him? Even though Wu clan was not skilled in formation path, as long as it was a super clan, they would be involved in formation path. Because super forces guarded their resources, they needed GU formations on a large scale. However, even if your Wu clan's GU immortals help, so what? In terms of overall strength, my Kai clan is slightly inferior. But in terms of formation path attainment, my Kai clan is the #1 clan in southern border. Kai Shong felt an intense sense of pride in his clan. He gathered his concentration and dove into Fang Yuan's problem without hesitation. The more he thought, the more he forgot about himself. All of the problems were gradually broken down into dozens of difficulties in his analysis. To solve the problem of water and fire being incompatible, ordinary methods cannot be used. The GU formations requirement is a round formation. I have to give up the square formations things. How do I solve this problem? Hiss, this is a bit difficult. But this is not a problem for me. Kai Shong's fighting spirit soared as if he had been injected with chicken blood. He told himself that he must teach Fang Yuan a harsh lesson. I must let him know that I, Kai Shong, cannot be humiliated. Lord, Luo clan's GU immortals are inviting you to a banquet. It is about to begin. Love go small say Netcat this time, a rank 6 GU immortal from Kai clan, Kai Liu, reminded Kai Shong from outside the door. I'm not going. Kai Shong didn't even raise his head as he continued to deduce in his mind. But, we've already agreed. Kai Liu hesitated. I said I won't go, so I won't go. Go away, Kai Shong replied impatiently. Kai Liu had no choice but to leave. Kai Shong took a deep breath. Faced with Fang Yuan's question, his eyes lit up as he mumbled to himself, what's so good about the banquet? The most important thing now was to defeat him. He had to solve this problem as soon as possible. Kid, how dare you humiliate me? Just like that, the night passed by. Kai Shong did not sleep, his eyes were bloodshot and his hair was messy, he was very tired. With a GU immortal's physique, staying up late was not a problem. But Kai Shong had expended a lot of energy, he did not rest at all during the night, he had been deducing and designing, he was working hard. This problem is quite difficult indeed. But I have already solved it. Ha ha ha, you dare to make things difficult for me, I will let you have a good taste of my power. Even though he was very tired, Kai Shong was very excited, he laughed loudly. He could not wait to see how Fang Yuan would respond. I will send it over now, I want to see your expression. Kai Shong walked to the door when he suddenly stopped. No. I am facing Wu Yihai now, I am like a general, how can I take the initiative to send it over? This is too embarrassing. I need to find a pawn to run errands. After a while, Kai clan's rank 6 GU immortal Kai Liu arrived at Kai Shong's study room. Little Liu, I will leave this to you, send it to Wu Yihai, haha. I want to teach him a lesson. Kai Shong instructed. Kai Liu quickly agreed. His cultivation level was lower than Kai Shong, he knew that Kai Shong was Kai clan's formation path hope. Kai clan's first supreme elder Kai Chu Yu had said many times that Kai Shong could inherit his legacy. Love go small say net wk these words had great meaning. Kai Chu Yu was a formation path great grandmaster. Kai Chu Yu acknowledged Kai Shong and felt that he had a high chance of becoming a formation path great grandmaster in the future. Kai Shong did not let down his clansmen's expectations. From a young age, he started to show his talent in arrays. Under the intentional support of the clan's resources, he cultivated hard all year round, persevered, and was heavily nurtured by the Kai clan. Today, his array attainments were not to be underestimated. Comfortable. Fang Yuan slowly opened his eyes, he woke up and stretched his body. Even though his soul had Guts GU to protect him, he would feel restless if he used it too much. The Guts GU could not solve this problem, but sleeping could allow the soul to calm down and settle down. As expected, after Fang Yuan slept, all of his fatigue was gone, he was full of energy and was in a good state. Kai Shang's information path mortal GU had been sent to him while he was asleep. Fang Yuan took it and looked, joy flashed in his eyes. Oh? It's really solved. This is quite fast. Fang Yuan sighed, he immersed his mind into it and researched it. His eyes shined with bright light. Kai Shang's solution was a huge inspiration to him. So that's it. Fang Yuan rubbed his chin. This was a brand new train of thought. It opened a new window for Fang Yuan. According to this train of thought, this answer is not suitable for my GU formation as a whole. I can make some adjustments. Fang Yuan thought to himself. He did not give the entire GU formation to Kai Shang. He only took a small part of it and gave it to Kai Shang. Even though Kai Shang's answer was correct, there was still some deviation from the overall design of the GU formation. But with Fang Yuan's attainment level, he was already a quasi-grandmaster in formation path. With the foundation of the answer, he could make some small modifications. Kai Shang was a grandmaster, while Fang Yuan was a quasi-grandmaster. The two were not far apart. If the difference was too great, it would be impossible to modify it. Just like how Fang Yuan was looking at this super GU formation that surrounded the dream realm, he was still confused and could not understand it. The problem that troubled Fang Yuan was solved. Fang Yuan had great gains. As expected of Southern Border's Kai clan. He muttered, praising Kai Shang's formation path attainment. After solving this problem, Fang Yuan's plan to modify the GU formation could continue. His mind was calm, he started to deduce again. A few days passed like this. This made Kai Shang anxious. After he sent the answer, he waited for Fang Yuan's response. But no matter how long he waited, he still did not reply. He could not even eat or drink anymore. What is this Wu Yihai doing? Kai Shang mumbled. Kai Shang, what did you just say? At the banquet, Luo clan's GU immortal asked in confusion. Kai Shang came to his senses, only realizing he was still at the banquet. Earlier, he rejected Luo clan's invitation, but after solving Fang Yuan's problem, he still had to attend the banquet. He had to attend the banquet, otherwise, wouldn't he be disrespecting Luo clan? GU immortal Kai Gui quickly mediated the situation. Please forgive me, Kai Shang is like this. He often gets distracted, sometimes when thinking about a formation path problem, he even forgets to eat. Sometimes, he will suddenly freeze and stop moving, even when he is walking. Kai Gui had rank 7 cultivation level, he was the leader of Kai clan's guards here. Luo clan's GU immortal laughed, I have heard of Kai Shang's performance. He is truly a formation path seed. Sigh, if my Luo clan could produce 1 or 2 such talents, even if they were 20 to 30% as good as Kai Shang, I would be happy. At the other side, Fang Yuan frowned deeply. He was in trouble again. It seems that modifying this GU formation is beyond my abilities. Fang Yuan encountered a new problem, and the difficulty this time was much higher than the previous one. He could still try last time, but this time, even the thought of trying was not mature enough, it was not reliable. In that case, I will leave it to Kai Shang. Fang Yuan smiled. Coming. Kai Shang returned to Kai clan's territory, quickly obtaining Fang Yuan's information path mortal GU. Kai Shang was very excited, his eyes were shining. Do you think it was easy? But I'm getting impatient. Kai Shang smiled coldly, feeling very pleased internally. He was like a victor who was about to inspect his spoils of war. He sent his consciousness in. After learning about the information path mortal GU's contents, he stared with wide eyes. What the hell is this Wu Yihai? He is so shameless. Kai Shang immediately scolded. In the letter, Fang Yuan did not mention the challenge letter, he just casually admitted that Kai Shang had some ability. Of course, he could have just guessed it. If you can solve this problem, I will admit that you have the qualifications to pursue Fairy Sai Liu. These were the words in the letter. Once Qiao Sai Liu was mentioned, Kai Shang could not hold it in anymore. What qualifications do I have? Is it up to you to decide? Wu Yihai, I misjudged you. You shameless fellow. Kai Shong felt like he could see Fang Yuan standing in front of him, sneering in disdain, looking high and mighty. He had a strong impulse in his heart. He really wanted to tear Fang Yuan's face apart. He said he was sightseeing with Sai Liu. I only had the chance to travel with Sai Liu once. Damn it. This guy. Kai Shong paced around the study room. He gritted his teeth, feeling indignant. He just needed to exert some strength and crush the information path mortal Gu. But after thinking about it, he resisted the urge. If I crush this Gu, wouldn't that fulfill Wu Yihai's wish? He failed to make things difficult for me. He must be afraid of me, that's why he purposely said this. Right. If I give up, it might be the result he wants to see. No, I need to continue to win against him, to the point where he has nothing to say and cannot deny it. I need to let him know of my strength. Of course, to prevent him from acting shamelessly again, I need to spread this matter. The more people know, the better. Kai Shong had learned from his mistakes. Originally, this matter was due to jealousy. Kai Shong was slightly embarrassed, but now, for Fang Yuan, he went all out. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.